wondering if there was an explosion because it looked like a giant mushroom cloud. Containment was at 0% early Tuesday afternoon, according to fire officials, and the blaze is being aided by mild wind gusts and triple-digit temperatures. The fire's location is about 65 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. The San Bernardino County Fire Department issued mandatory evacuations for the West Cajon Valley from Highway 2 to Interstate 15. A nearby elementary school was also evacuated. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the FBI on Tuesday turned over a number of documents to congressional investigators from its recent investigation into Hillary Clinton's controversial email use as Secretary of State. The Bureau concluded a lengthy investigation into the matter last month, at which time it stated criminal charges against the Democratic presidential candidate were not warranted. The Departments of Justice and State have been separately reviewing questions about whether Clinton used a private and unsecured email server to send or receive classified information between 2009 and 2013 when she was a top official in the Obama administration. Tuesday's release of the documents followed requests by House Republicans, particularly House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz, to review FBI materials that were used to conclude Clinton committed no criminal wrongdoing. A committee spokesperson on Tuesday said, "Staff is currently reviewing the FBI information that is classified secret. There are no further details at this time." Included in the documents were reportedly notes two agents took last month during a 3.5-hour interview with Clinton on the matter. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to the ONN Presidential Democrat Kiosk Debate. If you're just tuning in, tonight, in an historic first, Americans can ask any question at any time just by stepping into one of the thousands of Democrat kiosks we've placed in front of 7-Elevens across the country. Decatur, Illinois. Let your voice be heard.
Hi, everybody. My name's Joe Crawford, and my question is, how many taco and cheese taquitos do you think I can eat in 60 seconds?
Kevin, have we screened all of these? We haven't? But we can? We can't. Great. Straight from the heart of America, raw and unfiltered, Rockville, Maryland, to Boulder, Colorado.
This is the most powerful sword in the planet.
So, we really can't screen these things, Kevin? Not at all. Okay, then I think I'll just ask a question of my own. What's that? Okay, no, I won't. Austin, Texas.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. The toll-free number, if you want to bring up anything that happens to be on your mind, you may do that. That's why we call the show Free Talk Live. It's 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, or Skype on in here. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in studio tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
So to kick things off here, there's a pretty big-sounding court decision out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And, Darryl, you have the story about the federal government supposed to be hands-off with medical marijuana, apparently.
Supposed to be, and, well, according to the Ninth Circuit Court, yesterday they ruled that a spending rider approved by Congress in both 2014 and 2015 prohibits the Department of Justice from prosecuting cannabis suppliers who fully comply with state laws allowing medical use of cannabis. The DOJ had argued that the rider, which says the department may not appropriate money to prevent states from implementing their medical marijuana laws, applies only to litigation against the state themselves, not to prosecution of individuals who provide cannabis to patients.
So that was the attorney who said that, U.S. attorney?
That was the Department of Justice.
Okay, so
yes.
So they're saying that, oh, well, our interpretation of this was that we can't sue the state of California, but we can absolutely prosecute people for growing or selling or distributing or whatever marijuana.
Correct.
And the court's saying no.
Three-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously rejected that interpretation, saying that federal cannabis defendants are entitled to evidentiary hearings at which they can try to show their actions were authorized by state law. The case, United States v. McIntosh, consolidates 10 appeals by medical marijuana growers and dispensary operators
so just to clarify,
in California and Washington.
They're entitled to evidentiary hearings, which sounds to me like that means the feds can go in and raid a place, but then the place that's been raided is entitled to make their case, basically say, hey, this was completely legal.
We were completely in compliance with the state laws, at which time, in theory, the court would then drop all charges.
Right.
In theory.
And then in theory, at some point, they would get their product back. Because
in theory, yes.
These businesses have had their their livelihoods ruined. The people who've taken the time and money to invest in the medical cannabis industry in California, you got to give these guys credit. Because they're walking into a minefield, basically. I mean, they're taking whatever the investments that they have, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in production facilities, distribution networks, storefronts, things like that. They're putting a lot of money into this, knowing that there's a chance some federal goon squad could come in, like they did with the cannabis wax maker or whatever, the cannabis concentrates.
Oh yeah, the Midwest, I think it was called, down in San Diego.
Got
then
raided
there was
twice.
also Hollywood Compassionate Care in Los Angeles that was mentioned as one of the 10 appellants in this case.
Now, look, I don't like to see the term thug just thrown around as you'd goon squad. That was the term used. I don't like to see it thrown around, but in this case, I can't see what I would challenge anybody out there that might have been shocked by that statement to please tell me what they're acting like. What's the federal government, what's the DEA acting like when they go into a business that's completely legal inside their state and they take a bunch of product and a bunch of money and then they don't charge anyone.
Happens all the time.
A law enforcement agency that takes money and doesn't charge people has reduced themselves to a band of brigands.
Well, for sure. Because they have no chance, really, to challenge those charges. I mean, it's very, very expensive to try to go after forfeited inventory. You'd have to hire attorneys, and these people can't afford attorneys, likely. But then again, it's hard to afford an attorney.
I don't even know how you do it if they haven't given you charges.
Well, there's a charge against the cash. There's a charge against the plants or whatever it is that they're wanting to forfeit.
Civil asset forfeiture. I mean, Americans are thoroughly against that, and the fact that the DEA continues. Look, the DEA wouldn't want that used on them. Americans of law enforcement and everybody is breaking laws all the time. There are too many laws. People are breaking them constantly. If you use the law to charge a stack of cash or a box of glass pipes,
or in the case of the local head shop here in Keene, I think they also charged a truck. Yep. They charged the glass pipes. They charged the cash.
Yep. United States versus Ford F-250.
In that case, they brought criminal charges against the people.
They did eventually. You're right about that.
Admittedly, the federal justice system is so corrupt, so Byzantine, that you essentially can't get justice out of it. But they were charged, unlike these businesses in California.
Well, they were charged, but only after the civil asset forfeiture process had been put into motion.
That's true.
So it
the
was
cases against the truck were
case
instant.
v. truck, and then somebody said, "That's my truck." Oh, okay. Now we know who to charge.
I see.
Right. And by the way, they arrested those folks. You're talking about the Fat Stuff raid that happened here in Keene. I believe it was 2014 when that went down.
And this was terrible for this family.
Right. That's what I was going to say. They arrested the parents in front of their children, and they ended up getting, I believe, a divorce, or were at the very least looking at it. I knew they were separated or something like that after
I don't know the specifics of their romantic relationship, but she's a friend of my wife,
right,
and became so after the raid.
That's why I'm looking to you to answer the question.
And is the best of my knowledge, their relationship is going along fine.
Okay, that's good to know, because I'd heard it was having a very tough time when the stress was really on, as you can imagine.
The stress is terrible in those circumstances. I can't comment on that, but I can say that I mean, this was, I mean, it financially, it's terrible for families.
It's ruinous. I can't believe they were able to keep the doors open on that place.
And these people who did this stuff, they've got families too.
Right.
And the fact that you would do this to somebody else is just, it's abhorrent. I've gotten to see it. And I know what it does.
The place we were talking about, Midwest or whatever it was, the cannabis concentrates manufacturer, the guy had his college funds cleaned out by the federal government. So he had like 2 daughters or something like that, and they raided that too. So, I mean, they really took everything this man owned, and they took $300,000 out of a safe at the location. So how do you hire an attorney when your bank accounts have been shut down, you've been cleaned out of all of your savings, and any cash that you had on hand has been taken from you? You'd have to get a loan or, have a really nice attorney that's willing to, take you on a front or whatever.
It's because they don't care anything about justice. The judicial system should have its name changed to the legal system at this point, because it has nothing to do with justice. There's nothing just about this. As a matter of fact, it has become, abhorrent to the point that it's unusual to see a case that's just in the legal system at this point.
Right. Now, it sounds like the court has made...
And that's why cops, out there, boo-hoo, everybody hates us. There's a war on police.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you've been around while this has been going on. Prosecutors, politicians, other police officers, they've been breaking the law in many cases right in front of you, and you've done diddly squat about it. But you better believe that you'll go out there and you'll enforce the law on some college student or some family that's running a head shop completely legally, whatever. You'll twist and pervert the law to get what your bosses want because your bosses give you the paycheck, but then you cry when the public turns against you. This is what it looks like to have an occupying army and how an occupying army is being treated. I'm not saying it's okay, guys. I feel for you. I know what I get some general idea of what it might be like to be a police officer. I work with them as a firefighter. I get it. But you got to take responsibility where responsibility lies. And the police departments have been here all along. It's not like you're coming new on the scene or anything.
Totally. Let's continue, Darryl. Is there more to the story?
Oh, there's definitely more. The defendants in these cases argued that prosecuting them violated Section 542 of the Omnibus Spending Bill that Congress approved last December, which covers the fiscal year ending September 30th of this year, as well as a similar provision that applied in the previous fiscal year. And we'll get into the rest of this.
And that was the provision that said you can't prosecute...
You can't expend money to prosecute people that are complying with
state laws.
Toll-free
number specifically regarding cannabis.
On cannabis.
855-450-FREE. You can join us here. Also coming up, the latest on New Jersey Weedman's plight. 855-450-3733.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. The LASIK Vision Institute is now offering dramatically low prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology for a fraction of what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-939-5479. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 20% discount off our already low-cost services. We've already performed over 1 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve at a fraction of what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-939-5479. 1-800-939-5479.
Technically, I wasn't invited to this wedding, but you can stroll into any event with a camera and people will assume you're the photographer. This bag's holding more than cameras. It's also got an RFID scanner that's picking up all your personal information. Debit cards, credit cards, even that key to your office. So while the bride's taking his last name, I'll be taking yours. Say cheese!
Do you have a stronghold on your identity? ID Stronghold pioneered RFID blocking technology over a decade ago. For about the same price as an unprotected wallet, you can get a stronghold on your credit cards, license, and other critical data with ID Stronghold wallets, card sleeves, and purses. Other RFID blocking technology simply isn't the same. Check the label. If it's not an ID Stronghold, it's probably weak.
I'm Walt Augustinowicz, founder and CEO of ID Stronghold. Protect yourself from crimes you can't see with ID Stronghold wallets in bifold, trifold, and the popular mini style.
Get the original RFID blocking wallet. IDstronghold.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And with you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
You know what? Tonight when you go to bed, think about the position of your head and neck. The reason why I suggest that is because you probably aren't sleeping on a MyPillow, which is, of course, designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. Because if you don't have the right pillow, you may end up having chronic headaches, neck, and even back pain. So you can try out the MyPillow with really not much of any kind of risk at all. 60-day money-back guarantee. If you don't think this is the best pillow you've ever owned, we've all got them here, and I love mine. Go to MyPillow.com. You can get your pillow there, but you'll need our code to get the special offer. FTL, that's FTL, like Free Talk Live, gets you 2 for the price of 1 or 1 at half off. Basically brings it down to the same price as what you might pay if you got this thing over at Walmart, except we get the credit for it when you buy it through MyPillow.com with
and
code.
You can't buy a MyPillow at Walmart.
You can, actually.
You can?
Yep. MyPillow.com, code FTL. I went and I checked this out, Darryl. I wanted to see, all right, is our price better than the Walmart price? Turns out, same price. After you add in shipping, it's the same exact price when you use MyPillow.com, code FTL. It's just that then they send Free Talk Live a cut instead of Walmart getting the cut.
Sweet. Okay.
So, yeah, it helps us out. And there's a 10-year warranty on this product, so they obviously really, stand behind the quality of it. Plus, you can put it in your washer and dry it in the dryer, which is a feature I've never seen on a pillow. This was made for that. So, again, MyPillow.com, use code FTL, like Free Talk Live, as we go to your calls and thoughts. We'll talk more about the court decision that you're telling us about, Darryl.
Yes.
It seems like a pretty big one out of the Ninth Circuit Court, basically saying to the federal goon squads and the DEA that they need to, well, not exactly stop raiding the companies, but that if they do raid one of these medical marijuana companies, the medical marijuana company can actually have an evidentiary hearing where they can prove that they're legal.
Well, let's actually,
That's my
when we
understanding
get
so
into
far.
this, we do have some snippets from the ruling itself
Okay, great.
that hopefully clarifies.
We'll get into that. But first, Riley is on the line in Utah. Riley, go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey guys, so
Hey there.
I want to talk a little bit about a story that I found from the BBC, and they were talking about a group called the Amish Pack or something like it, who is intending to advertise Donald Trump to the Amish, which is really interesting to me because this is a group of conservative individuals who don't use electricity.
I was going
or
to say,
don't-
do they vote? Amish
don't
people?
vote.
The Amish don't vote.
No, I don't think the Amish even vote. So I find it interesting that this group is really trying to push Donald Trump to them in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Is this real or is this a joke? I mean, are you sure this is a legit thing?
It's a legitimate thing.
Is it Amish people pushing it to Amish people?
I don't know who it is. I
Okay.
think it's just a group who's trying to push it to the Amish.
Okay,
As far
So
as
they'll
I know.
probably buy ads in the local newspapers and hope that the Amish people actually read the newspaper. I don't know if the Amish actually read newspapers.
I couldn't
I
tell
don't
you
know
in
either.
newspapers for sure.
But it sounds like what Darryl said. They're going to buy ads in the newspaper and advertise Donald Trump to them. So
Well, okay, so having a great deal of experience with the Amish myself, and Ian, you probably have some too, coming from Sarasota. There's an area of Sarasota called Pineview. Is that right? No, what is it called? Pinecrest.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That is basically the winter home for most Amish from the east coast, east of the Mississippi.
I thought they stayed there all year.
There are certainly people that stay in that area, but this is the place that the ones that have enough money to go somewhere go.
Okay.
So you'll see them on with inline skates going down the sidewalk, or tricycles, or whatever it is that they're going out there with the hats and the whole deal,
the bonnets or whatever.
And
Are you sure those are Amish and not
There's
Mennonite?
Mennonites there too.
It's that too.
They're both
there aren't any Hutterites that I'm aware of, but these people span the gamut. So the fact is that there isn't such thing as sort of an Amish person. There are Mennonites that are more conservative than some Amish, and some Amish that are like they've got different rules for each church. It has to do with which church you're in as to which rules it is that you go by. Nonetheless, although Amish aren't supposed to vote, some do. And so I think what they're trying to do is pick up this group of people that may or may not vote. I don't know what percentage they vote at, but they may very well vote at the same percentage Americans do.
that's entirely possible.
Now, how can you be Amish and vote? I mean, wouldn't that be a Mennonite thing? Mennonites are more kind of in society,
I don't
aren't
think
they?
anybody knows the difference. All right,
There's a group
They
of
would
people
know.
that call themselves the Old Order Amish.
and people that call themselves the New Order Amish too, and people that call themselves conservative Mennonites, and people that call them Schwarzentrooper Amish, and a whole variety of people, and they
Right,
all
but your
follow
initial
different
statement,
rules.
Your initial statement was there's no such thing as the Amish.
No, I don't think people know what is Amish or whatever.
But the Amish know what Amish is. We may not know exactly what that means.
What are you kidding? No, they don't. What is the difference?
A Presbyterian knows what defines a Presbyterian. A Baptist knows what defines a Baptist, but a Methodist might not be able to tell you either.
Yeah, Methodists cannot tell you what defines a Methodism. They have no idea who Wesley is and what their stand is on drinking, I can assure you. So the Amish broke away a long time ago from the Mennonites, and the breakaway.
really?
Yeah, the breakaway was over some minutia that has essentially been solved. So it's like saying
I thought the Amish wanted to live in the dark, and the Mennonites had adopted technology.
not all of them. Not all of them. That is basically you can say that's true. Sure.
Okay.
But you can't say that is categorically true.
I did
Right,
not
so
know
that there are some Amish where the community has a telephone,
okay.
but no individual member of the community owns the telephone.
Or there's Amish where they have telephones that are on the side on a post on their property that they can use for their business, but they can't have it in their house or in their business. There's ones that can have it in the business, but not in the house.
Now, I didn't know that Amish grew out from Mennonites.
Yes.
I figured Mennonites were an offshoot
No, everybody
of Amish.
thinks that that's the case. The Mennonites are not some liberal outcropping of the Amish. The Amish were a group that stepped away
conservative
from
sect, more conservative sect of Mennonites.
We don't like this power stuff. We're going to sleep in the dark. We're going to live in the dark.
No, that's not what they went over.
No engines.
This was all about baptism.
By the way,
and
you
these sorts
don't
of things.
see the Amish, like the classic horse-drawn carriage or whatever it is that they use in Sarasota.
No.
I've never seen those there.
Nope, neither.
So those people don't seem either they're walking everywhere or
they're just not silly enough to bring a horse-drawn carriage.
But you
on Bay
definitely
Vista.
see that in places like Lancaster,
Ohio.
Pennsylvania, in southern Ohio, parts of Kentucky.
Remember in the Kentucky, the Schwarzentrooper Amish, remember they were getting tossed in jail because they refused to put the reflective triangle in the back of their
Right,
buggy.
because it was orange and we shunned such fancy
devil's
colors.
color.
Triangular, because that is a holy shape having to do with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. See? this is how convoluted and weird this
it's
is.
also that
we've been
fancy
going-
color that we shun.
We've totally been going off on this here, and Riley has barely had a chance to say anything. So I want to see if he's got more. Riley, if so, hang on. We'll bring you back, and we can continue talking about Amish and voting. I've actually got some information from Amish America about whether or not they do and how many of them do and why or not. 855-450-FREE. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Teens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with agoristhosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST, hosting.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited right here, toll free, to bring up whatever's on your mind. The number's 855-450-FREE, and this truly is a talk show by request. You know, in radio, requests are just a bunch of BS. If you're on a music station and you hear them say they're playing requests, it's almost always a lie.
Can you play
in
some
my experience.
Hootie?
Yeah, it's almost always a lie. But here on Free Talk Live, you really can call in and bring up anything you want. Request a topic. If you know that we're going to talk about something, or we've teased that we're going to talk about something, you can request that, and we'll jump it to the front of the line. Or if you've just got something you want to share with us, you can do that, and that's what Riley is doing here. We're going to get back to his call and thoughts here in a moment. But Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin-related. You can get help buying Bitcoins or choosing a Bitcoin wallet, read the latest news, or engage with the community on the Bitcoin forum. You can find places to spend your Bitcoin or play online games with the cryptocurrency. It's the source for all your Bitcoin needs and news. It's Bitcoin.com. As we go back to Riley, you brought up the topic about Amish being, I guess, marketed toward by some sort of Trump-supporting PAC.
And the Amish aren't using Bitcoin.
No, definitely not. But you called in about this, and then we just kind of went off talking about the Amish for a while, so I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to get some more thoughts in if you've got them to share.
But I've got a little bit about Amish that I want to talk about.
Oh, me too. I've got more as well, but go ahead,
Okay.
Riley.
So I've been looking at this article over the break, and it looks like even though the Amish are able to vote, they just choose not to exercise that right. They don't pay taxes, which is a good thing, and I'm pretty sure they also don't collect Social Security or that sort of benefits. This is also a good thing because they're not relying on the government system.
I can tell you they're paying taxes. If they got property taxes, they're paying those. They're going to try to avoid paying federal taxes as much as they can because they're a peace church, and peace church parishioners don't particularly like paying those things, but I have yet to hear of any of them that get away with it by doing anything other than making less money than they have to.
My understanding, and I did live in Pennsylvania for a while, so I knew some people that were Amish, is if you're old order Amish, there's some kind of form you can file with the IRS, and they basically leave you alone.
You get out of Social Security. So the Amish have a lobbyist. I assume they use electricity, and it gets them. And I believe this is true for Mennonites too, because people just lump it all together. They say Amish, and what they mean is Mennonites, and Mennonites were the founding group. Actually, I do have a little bit here. In 1536, a young Catholic priest from Holland named Menno Simmons joined the Anabaptist movement. His writings and leadership united many of the Anabaptist groups, and these are people that believe that you should be baptized when you're an adult, when you're old enough to understand what baptism means, as opposed to sprinkling water on the head of a baby.
Makes more sense.
Makes sense to me.
It makes a lot of sense, definitely.
Who later became known as the Mennonites. One of the teachings of the Amish faith is called banning or shunning. This is based on the New Testament command not to associate with a church member who does not repent of his sinful conduct. The purpose of this discipline is to help the member realize the error of his ways and to encourage his repentance, after which he should be restored to church fellowship. This excommunication was at first only applied to the communion table. However, the followers of Jacob Ammon felt the unrepentant individual should be completely shunned and avoided
forever?
by all church members until
they make right.
Okay.
Yeah. And he also felt like
so it's not a full ostracization. It's just hey, until you come to Jesus, basically.
It's a full temporary one. Full conditional, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. Anyway, he also felt like those Mennonites in the 1690s were just too worldly, and that they should separate. So they did, and they ultimately many of them came to Pennsylvania and that sort of thing.
Interesting. All right, Riley, more to share?
I think that's going to cover it for me. I just want to add one thing. I'd be interested, if there were actually Amish we could talk to who might have feelings on Trump, but they're not going to listen to the show. So
you'd have to write them. They have Amish newspapers, and I forget where I saw one of these things. Maybe someone brought it into the studio. Maybe I don't know, it was Menno or somebody. We know this guy named Menno.
Yeah, Menno.
But they have these they have these newspapers that they send around to different communities.
They do have that. Yeah, so they can read that paper.
Yeah, and it kind of it's got stuff like, and this boy was born into this family in this town, and Mr. Jones, or whatever Amish name would be.
There's Jones is definitely not an Amish.
Right, Miller.
Mr. Miller.
There's about 20 different Amish surnames out there.
Yeah.
You go through them, and there's just not very many. Schwarzentruber's one of them.
Mr. Schwarzentruber has opened up a new business or something like that.
With his son Jacob and Zebediah.
Right. It's like it's like taking a trip back into the 1800s or something, when the only way to communicate would have been via print communications.
And small town America, it feels like.
Right. I think that the value of getting an Amish person on the radio to answer these questions is mitigable, because I can tell you what the answer is, and the answer is some Amish vote, some Amish don't, and depends on the church they go to.
Thanks,
really
Riley, for bringing the story to the table tonight. I appreciate it. I've got details here about Amish people voting.
And apparently some Amish will use a rototiller. About 20% of Amish, according to Wikipedia. 6% will use a tractor for field work. That's the Kelowna order of Amish.
Some of them will use a tractor for field work, but they don't have rubber tires. Rubber tires are worldly. Have you seen the metal tires on tractors?
No.
Ian? So what they are, I couldn't visualize this when I was younger, so I'm just going to try to draw a picture for people. It's not. They don't look like just a steel rubber tire. What they are is they've got these big sort of flat treads that go around. They look more like a paddle wheel than a tractor tire. And they just, they go along the ground. And what do you care if you're out in your dirt? You're not driving it on the ground, or on the road. Now, where I live here in New Hampshire, you can very well get caught behind a tractor. Usually they stay off the road during rush hour, but otherwise they're out there.
So, according to AmishAmerica.com, only a small number of Amish cast ballots in presidential elections, perhaps 10 to 15%. Amish may be more likely to get involved when voting involves issues which directly affect them, such as zoning. Amish generally do not vote for a few reasons. For one, Amish follow a two kingdoms theology, which holds that there exists both a material and a spiritual kingdom.
Sounds pretty Christian.
While respecting worldly governments, Amish feel that Christians should adhere to the laws of the spiritual kingdom above all.
Be in the world and not of it.
Though Amish are highly law-abiding, they view the material kingdom as worldly and traditionally limit interaction with it.
I love how the Amish are constantly trying to show themselves as law-abiding. The fact is, the Amish will buck the law whenever they think...
I love them for that.
Right. This is so. In all likelihood, this is put together by Amish people who are like, let's make sure that everybody understands we're law-abiding. Hey. The Amish will go ahead and say, you and your law. And the horse it rode in on.
That they're abiding by what they see as the supreme law, which would be God's law.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the law you should follow, to my mind. And
I have a lot of
everybody should
respect
follow.
for the Amish. I mean, they generally tend to keep to themselves as far as they're not particularly evangelical people, not pushing.
You got to
their religion.
ask to enter the Amish community. It's not easy to do.
And they are not afraid to do civil disobedience and sell raw milk or whatever it is that they're doing that they is true to them and their religion and their beliefs, and in spite of whatever the state says. I have a lot of respect for them.
And they also, and Mark, you probably know this better than I do, since you actually do have a somewhat close Amish friend. There's a period in like the late teen years to where basically they let the children, before they fully become adults, do whatever they want, and then sort of decide if you want to jump the fence or not.
It's called Farfignugan.
No,
it's a Rumspringer, right? And what is this is one of the reasons that my friend's dad left the church that he was at. He felt that Rumspringer is nutty and they shouldn't do it, and he wanted to go to a church that they did have. And also,
so who does the Rumspringer? Is it Mennonites or Amish?
Amish, but it just depends on the church.
I see. Okay,
this is the thing. You can't separate these people. That's why you're reading percentages.
Easy lines to
there
divide
aren't.
them.
And there was also a dispute apparently over whether or not the rear window in the buggy is allowed to be ovular, or must it be rectangular.
So more about Amish and voting. And is this Amish Trump thing really real? It's Free Talk Live.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. Like 60% of you, I'm not impressed by the two-party system. It's a dinosaur. It's outmoded and no longer reflects today's America. Two-party politics doesn't work, and it hasn't worked for anybody but itself in decades. If we the people are wise, we will never again elect another president from within the entrenched, corrupt, co-opted two-party system. The office of president should serve the needs of everyone equally, with respect and with fairness. I did it as governor, I'll do it as president. Google me. 60% of you have said you want another choice in 2016, and now you have one in me. We the people have a chance to do something in 2016 that may not come around again in our lifetimes. We have a legitimate chance to elect one of our own to the highest office in the land. Give me your vote one time and see what a difference one election can make.
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care, as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site; 2, Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love. But make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,345 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents lower at $19.70 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $571 US. With silver heading lower, this is a great time to buy on the dip. Get started today and give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That allows you to take control of the airwaves like Riley did a few moments ago. Bringing up the Amish. Apparently there's a PAC, Political Action Committee, that is supposed to be working towards having the Amish vote for Donald Trump, which seems like a pretty hard thing to do considering that Amish people generally don't vote at all. But we're going to continue discussing the Amish here in moments, and your thoughts are certainly welcome. So join us at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM.
And apparently there are really large billboards throughout Pennsylvania advertising Donald Trump.
Really? To the Amish?
To the Amish.
Well,
so
to anybody who goes by, whether you go by in a horse or a car.
It's to anybody that goes by, but this billboard has a picture of an Amish horse and buggy with the little orange triangle. And on the left, it says, vote Trump, register by October 11th. And then there's some words that I can't make out. And then there's the big giant horse and buggy on the right side that has some bumper sticker looking thing on the back.
How many of the Amish actually even know who Donald Trump is?
Oh, they do. Yeah, sure they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they're not. People say they're these isolated folks. They're not that.
Okay.
Not in my experience.
How would they find out about it? I mean, do they have radios?
They talk.
Okay.
Yes, they have radios in some cases for a variety of uses, and different churches allow different things. And yes,
Darryl's got a breakdown of some of the different Amish orders.
I was able to figure out the wording that's on the left side up under the register by October 11th.
Okay.
It says, hardworking, pro-life, family dedicated, just like you.
All right, let's go to...
Let's also point out that he's appealing to an ethnic minority that were vilified when they first came over here, and he is a person that is essentially
doing the same thing.
trying to exclude an ethnic minority by vilifying them.
And Breitbart says that of the Amish and Mennonites who vote, roughly 95% of them do vote Republican.
I'll bet they do.
Not a surprise there. Let's go to Mike. He's in Oregon. We'll talk more about the Amish and voting here in moments. Mike, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. So I had a question before I want to talk about the Amish. I had a question about the Amish first. Do Amish pay taxes to the state, or are they exempt?
When you say the state, you mean like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, or do you mean the state as in any government?
Like any government in general, do they pay any sort of taxes?
Yes.
They do? Okay. So
just because of your religion, look, I would have switched religions if they would have somehow or another
been like, okay, you no longer have to pay property tax, fuel tax, sales tax.
Yeah, there ain't no silver bullet out there when it comes to these sorts of things. You might get away with not standing up in court and not removing your hat if you claim to be a Quaker, but you better be prepared for a bumpy road.
Okay. So what I want to talk about today, I just turned the show on, guys, was the Amish. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember the TV show MacGyver?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
The guy that could fix an airplane with a bobby pin and some string?
Exactly.
Richard Dean
He also
Anderson.
needed some Clorox and a cotton swab.
Yep. So one of the very first episodes of MacGyver was called The Outsiders, and he was going through the Pennsylvania countryside, and he got into an accident, and an Amish family took him in. And as you start going into the episode, the Amish family there, who was trying to help him get the Jeep repaired and stuff, they were facing some problems from the state. And I don't want to, ruin it for anybody, but I mean,
this is a 30-year-old TV program.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can
I'm
give
sick-
out spoilers.
I'm sick of spoiler alerts for anything that's older than a
I
year.
think it's important to let a spoiler, put a spoiler alert out there to give
Go
people
ahead
the
and tell
opportunity.
us who shot JR, if they ever found Nemo.
Yeah, you know what? Beowulf, his mom, she gets her arm pulled out of socket.
Right. So anyway, what ends up happening is the Amish family are having problems with the state, the sheriff's department, and a construction company. They want to come in and make a highway system and restaurants and shops and stuff that the town needs, and they want to take over the land that the Amish are living on. And the Amish finally said, "We will not move," and they do a huge act of civil disobedience at the end.
Nice.
And they all join hands. The construction company and the sheriff's there are saying, "Hey, they don't move. Let's call them the county bus, the sheriff's department bus." And what happens is MacGyver, they all join hands. They all spread out to almost like a human fence. And he says, "We will not move." And they get the bulldozers and they're ready to come and take down. And they will not move. And there's a little girl that tells them, "Hey, Daddy, stop! You're destroying my friend's house," whatever. And she eventually falls down a well, and they kind of all come together. They get the girl out, but it's just that, it's a terrible thing to happen to this girl. But eventually, it convinced the state and the the construction company to not take these people's land. They were going to go an alternate route, which cost 3 times as much, they said, but they did it because they realized that the Amish were just peaceful people. They just wanted to live their lives and do their farming.
This was the first episode of MacGyver?
No, it wasn't. It was the first episode I had seen when it was on prime time. Yeah, it wasn't the first episode that ever aired. It had been the first episode that I had ever seen, and I remember it's called The Outsiders.
It's interesting that sort of at the end it got a little. I'm less happy with it because the fact is it doesn't matter whether you're Amish or just a regular folks. You don't deserve to have your house taken from you. And
No doubt.
And the fact that they're good, wholesome people that whatever the excuse was is really just it's just an excuse for leaving them alone and going after everybody else.
Well, the reason why, again, it's fiction, but
Sure.
the reason why they got left alone because there are a bunch of them, right? Like how many of them were in this episode in theory that were blocking basically?
Well, there had to have been at least 20 people that were all joining hands, making almost like a human fence. But here's the thing, though: as the bulldozer came closer, they kind of stepped back a few more. Because are they really going to get run over by the bulldozer? I think they were trying to get the bulldozer people to actually say, "Hey, look, we're not going to run over these people."
Yep. Hey, Mike, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Numbers make a difference. They can change a, crazy person into a movement. If you've got enough people, then you're going to get taken a lot more seriously, especially by agents of the state who normally are able to operate with impunity and crush people's lives and destroy families and, ruin, steal property or whatever. But if there's enough people who are refusing to obey, if there's enough people who are gathering together to back up one another, then they won't make a move. A great example of this was Jay Noon, who's a sometime caller to this radio show years ago. Mark, you and I and JJ and some of the other activists, I think Michelle Seven came with us, some of the other activists from here in the Keene area, and Pete from Cop Block. We went down to Jay Noon's house because he wasn't paying property taxes down in Palmer, Massachusetts, and they had said they were going to take his property from him. And it was supposed to happen on the day in question, so we went there and hung out in his front yard all day. And, they didn't show up. And the cops were parked down the street.
They waited till you guys left.
They waited actually a few months after we left. They didn't come in right away, but they did come eventually. But that's because he had to get people from all over the place because they weren't necessarily his neighbors who were backing him up. He had to bring people in from all across Massachusetts and all the way down from New Hampshire. But the fact is, the numbers worked in that instance. And if you actually had a situation where, I don't know, let's say your neighbors were actually liberty-friendly, as the Amish have, then you could have an instant response anytime the cops or the government goons showed up to mess with you. And that's a level of community that the Libertarians here in New Hampshire are not quite to that point. I would say West Manchester has this. Here in Keene, we've got a couple dozen people in the Keene area, and there's like a dozen living on this street corner, which is still more libertarians than the average large city even has across the entire city that are willing to come out and do something.
Willing to go out and do something, certainly.
Right.
I mean, libertarians are probably 20% of the population, but they're not.
Depends on how broadly you define the word libertarian.
Yeah, I mean, principled libertarians who are willing to do something. That's what we've got here. And so gathering people together, as the Amish have proven, will make a huge difference in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, especially if it's trying to achieve more liberty in our lifetime. So anyway, let's talk more about the Amish. You've got a comparison, Darryl. I want to get into that coming up here in the second hour of the different Amish sects or divisions and kind of what they believe / what they allow.
Well, what sorts of technologies they allow.
And then a little bit more I've got on the voting story here about, how many Amish vote and why or why not, because there's this whole apparently Trump PAC, a political action committee that's trying to convince Amish people to vote for Donald Trump. 855-450-FREE, that's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live, Hour 2, coming up. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,344 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $579. Antiwar.com reports for the third straight day, Saudi Arabia's warplanes are caught up in a high-profile incident of civilian deaths in Yemen, this time attacking a house in the Nim district near the capital of Sana'a. The attacks destroyed a house and killed 17 civilians. The large death toll for a single home was the result of a double-tap incident in which the first strike collapsed the house on top of a family, and relatives from the neighborhood scrambled to try to rescue them, only for the rescuers themselves to be targeted in subsequent strikes. This came after a Sunday Sunday incident in which Saudi warplanes attacked a school, killing 10 children, and a Monday incident in which they destroyed a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 15 more civilians. Throughout the war, the Saudis have been criticized for their huge civilian death tolls of airstrikes, but the number of incidents seem to be growing dramatically in recent weeks, with the UN General Assembly last week agreeing the Saudis could investigate themselves on war crimes. The coalition announced on Tuesday they'll be setting up an investigatory body to look into the recent strikes. Those Saudi officials have already praised the killings of the children at the school, accusing them of being terrorists in training. So far, Saudi officials have justified every single incident of civilian killings in Yemen or insisted they did not happen at all. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports a new blaze seared its way into the pockmarked Southern California landscape Tuesday, shuttering parts of two major freeways and forcing mandatory evacuations in an area that's already been extensively blackened by wildfire so far this year. The so-called Blue Cut Fire was first reported around 11 a.m. local time Tuesday and grew quickly, consuming nearly 2,000 acres in about an hour's time near the Cajon Pass in San Bernardino National Forest. By late Tuesday, officials said the fire had grown to 5,500 acres. The fire burned just off Interstate 15 along a well-traveled stretch of highway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas and billowed thick, grayish-black smoke that could be seen for miles. Witness Nika Eckstein told UPI, "When we were driving into it, we were wondering if there was an explosion because it looked like a giant mushroom cloud." Containment was at 0% early Tuesday afternoon, according to fire officials, and the blaze is being aided by mild wind gusts and triple-digit temperatures. The fire's location is about 65 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. The San Bernardino County Fire Department issued mandatory evacuations for the West Cajon Valley from Highway 2 to Interstate 15. A nearby elementary school was also evacuated. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the FBI on Tuesday turned over a number of documents to congressional investigators from its recent investigation into Hillary Clinton's controversial email use as Secretary of State. The Bureau concluded a lengthy investigation into the matter last month, at which time it stated criminal charges against the Democratic presidential candidate were not warranted. The Departments of Justice and State have been separately reviewing questions about whether Clinton used a private and unsecured email server to send or receive classified information between 2009 and 2013 when she was a top official in the Obama administration. Tuesday's release of the documents followed requests by House Republicans, particularly House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz, to review FBI materials that were used to conclude Clinton committed no criminal wrongdoing. A committee spokesperson on Tuesday said, "Staff is currently reviewing the FBI information that is classified secret. There are no further details at this time." Included in the documents were reportedly notes two agents took last month during a 3.5-hour interview with Clinton on the matter. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's a landmark day in the March for Equality here in America. Congress passed the Casinos for Fairness Act today, which gives every mistreated group in America the right to open a casino.
It worked with Native Americans, it will work for the rest of the country. If our society has kept you down, you will get a casino to pull yourselves back up.
Veterans will also have the right to open a casino as a replacement for costlier benefit programs.
I think it'd be nice to have a casino. I mean, I'd rather still be able to walk, but, you know.
While the majority of the country is hailing the Casino Act as a step forward, many Native Americans are objecting to the law.
We are still the most disadvantaged group in America. So all that we ask is that we be allowed to open whorehouses and start legally selling cocaine.
The bill raised the question of whether immigrants should be allowed to own casinos. After much debate, the legislature decided that they would not, but they will be able to sell sliced mango on the street without a vendor license.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program. As always, you can bring up anything that you want to discuss, and that's actually how the show has been so far tonight. We didn't bring in the story about the Amish. I didn't even know there was an Amish PAC, the Amish Political Action Committee, which may or may not be run by Amish people, but it is people who are ostensibly raising money to reach out to the Amish, and apparently they're already buying billboards. Darryl, you had found a picture of one of the billboards that they had purchased.
Yes, and I posted it on the Facebook page.
Excellent. So they've apparently gotten some money already, and they're trying to, I guess, persuade the Amish to, first of all, vote, number one, because most of them don't, but secondly, vote for Donald Trump specifically. And when I first heard it, it just seemed so unbelievable. I almost wondered if the BBC had been fooled by some sort of a good troll website or something like that. But apparently this is a thing, and they are doing it. Now, we were reading about Amish people and whether or not they vote and why or why not. And there is a story here that I'd started where it was talking about how what the Amish beliefs are. They follow a two kingdoms theory that holds there's a material and a spiritual kingdom. Amish believe in non-resistance and may be hesitant to take part in electing a politician who might use force as an agent of the state. This from, by the way, AmishAmerica.com. Amish do not hold political office themselves for similar reasons. Additionally, voting in national elections for candidates who enact a wide array of laws in distant Washington may be seen as an abstract endeavor. This is one reason that local elections concerning tangible issues may receive a greater response from Amish. So if the Amish feel as though there's some sort of issue that will affect them, they're more likely to come out and vote.
Yeah, as a Quaker, that's what I am. I'm the clerk of my meeting here in the Keene Friends meeting, and what I find is that Quakers can generally is probably not the right term, often agree when it comes to sort of national issues, what's important and what's not important to them, and they have a much higher distrust of the national government. They do local government. So you can always generally appeal to a Quaker by saying, hey, look, this is an organization of violence. They kill people around the world. Or, hey, whatever that is that they're doing good, just consider that they're dropping bombs on people's houses. Hellfire missiles, I don't care what social welfare program this might be, so it doesn't solve for Hellfire missiles. Things like that. And you'll get the nods of the head and that sort of thing. However, when it comes to local governments, they don't see the violence from those nearly as much. They don't experience it. They don't internalize it. So they don't tend to think of local or state governments as violent.
So they don't see the violence inherent in the system.
They do not, Dennis.
So back to the story here from AmishAmerica.com. Voting is typically not prohibited outright, and the decision to vote among Amish is left to the individual in most congregations. Donald Craybill notes that in the Lancaster community, quote, those who vote tend to be younger businessmen with an interest in community affairs. The approach to voting varies between communities. Participation is more likely when voting concerns local issues. However, Amish do take some interest in national elections. George Bush attempted to tap into Amish interest in 2004 when he visited both Lancaster County and Holmes County, Ohio, during his re-election campaign to ask for Amish and Mennonite support. Hearst and McConnell report that in 2004, 43% of Holmes County Amish were registered to vote, though only 13% did so, with most selecting Bush. Amish have been termed armchair Republicans and are seen to be more sympathetic to the Republican Party due to a perception of it as one more concerned with religion and traditional values. Though voting is not common, some Amish follow political news, and many have and share opinions on politics and politicians.
So I found the website for this political action committee.
Yes.
And they say the
god-awful.
purpose of Amish PAC's Plain Voter Project is to beat Hillary by turning out a deeply conservative and oft-forgotten bloc of voters concentrated in 2 key swing states. Amish PAC has no
That's
use
Ohio
for...
and Pennsylvania in this
yes.
case.
Amish PAC has no use for internet and television advertising because the voters we're targeting don't use the internet or watch television. Therefore, Amish PAC's ad blitz is 2-pronged: newspapers and billboards. And they actually have a copy of their ad here. It's a 3/8 page advertisement that has a picture of Donald Trump sitting in his office looking all squinty-eyed. And it says Trump has never been a politician or held elected office, except for the fact that Donald Trump flirted with running for president back in the year 2000. But hush, hush,
Did he
forget
run
all
for
about
the Reform
that.
Party or something like that?
Oh,
that was Steve Forbes.
Well, no, Trump was briefly in the race. Like, he was saying, I'm going to run. And then about a month and a half later, he wound up dropping out because Ventura dropped out.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt, but where do you see this ad on this site? I'm on
AmishPac.com/about-us.html.
Okay, got it.
It says, Trump is known for his strong work ethic. He will appoint pro-life Supreme Court justices who protect religious liberty and individual freedom. And he abstains from alcohol and has said he has never had a drink, never had a glass of alcohol.
What?
And he says that he has seen what happens when people, quote unquote, lose control.
Interesting.
That's almost unbelievable that somebody in Vegas, New York, whatever, he spends a lot of his time, that, obviously is around plenty
Ken
of people.
Gillette also says that he doesn't drink or
It's
do
true.
drugs.
He does say that.
Well, okay, so I think that it's a great stand if somebody chooses to take it to not consume alcohol. The problem is that if you, for one, I have a difficult time believing anything Donald Trump says. So it's a dangerous thing to claim because it's generally pictures, right? And if he's got a picture of a half-drank beer in his hand,
how many soirees has this guy been to where
Right.
he's been photographed? Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's one thing to have a martini glass in your hand and just say there's water in it, although why you drink 3 ounces of water is beyond me. Have a glass for 3 ounces of water. But this is going to be difficult, right? If he's at a party and he's got anything other than a Zephyr Hills bottle of water in his hand, he's in big trouble.
So according to according to a quick Google search here, Donald Trump's brother apparently died due to alcoholism.
I would have figured it was something that would have spurred him to do that. It must have been quite an older brother, though.
However, although Trump doesn't drink, according to thefiscaltimes.com, he launched his own brand of vodka in 2006. They're not telling the Amish
It's the best vodka ever.
Self-described as a superb product and beautifully packaged. Unfortunately, consumers didn't agree, and production of Trump vodka was halted in 2011 due to meager sales.
Ben King is the outreach director of Amish PAC and apparently is a former Amishman himself and is the CEO of an Amish barn building business. And he was raised in Lancaster.
Okay, there you go.
And, of course, they're targeting, you had mentioned Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and Holmes County, Ohio, as being places that Bush targeted.
Right.
That's exactly where they're running these
Billboards.
newspaper ads and presumably putting the billboards.
I wonder if the Amish newspapers actually accept advertising. Presumably they would, because it's expensive to print newspapers.
I'm sure. Yeah, I would think so.
The newspapers are The Budget and Holmes County Shopper.
Yeah,
no, those don't sound like Amish.
The Budget.
Is that the one? The Budget?
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So Amish certainly are all about making the money. They came to do good, and they did rather well. Is one of those sayings. And they do seem to be industrious folks. I think that it's interesting that you'll find the conservative religions tend to do pretty well, at least in the Christian sphere. You look at the Russian the old religion folks. You look at the Quakers, Amish. There's a lot of them that you can point to and say, yeah, they did pretty well for themselves. Maybe it has to do with abstinence. I don't know.
Toll-free number tonight.
Abstinence from alcohol.
If you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. So let's change gears back into your other Amish story, Darryl, the sort of the comparisons between the different sects or divisions within the Amish community. And
right. So I'm not going to go through this entire list.
Just some highlights.
30% of Amish are allowed to use propane, with another small sect being allowed to use natural gas. 97% will use a motorized washing machine, but only 70% can have an inside flush toilet.
Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. We'll continue, and you can share your thoughts with us. 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. I'll be on the ballot for president in all 50 states. If a Democrat is elected president, if a Republican is elected president, in 4 years, we will still be at war. America will be 4 years deeper in debt. We will have 4 more years of rising taxes, bigger government, crony capitalism instead of free markets, and less freedom. How do we know this? Because that's what both parties keep delivering. If you're an optimist, you know that one day America will have its act together. One day we won't be at war. One day taxes will be fair. One day our social and economic challenges will be conquered, not by force, but by cooperation and mutual respect. To the independent majority of Americans who feel as I do, I say, why wait one more day?
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything. Refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to silveratmarket.com for this limited time offer. That's silveratmarket.com. Silveratmarket.com. Limit one offer per household. 50 United States only.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Work with your doctor when taking medications. Make Protovite part of your healthy lifestyle.
HealthForLiberty.com is your source for Protovite, a powerful nutritional supplement that's a true breakthrough for your health. Poor digestion makes it nearly impossible to absorb the nutrition your body needs. Protovite is a liquid multi-nutrient formula with patent-pending absorption technology and the highest quality ingredients to nourish every cell in your body.
My name is Sandra White. 6 weeks ago, when I started taking Protovite, I was on 14 medications, from everything for blood pressure to fibromyalgia. In the first 10 days, my blood sugar dropped 50 points, and my fibromyalgia pain is gone. And so was 12 of the 14 medications that I was taking. I'm 66, living life and loving it.
Go to healthforliberty.com right now. That's healthforliberty.com.
Thank you, Protovite, for giving my life back.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us right here, toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And joining you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
If you've got Bitcoin, I want you to check out the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's Jaxx, JAXX.io is the website where you can go to download Jaxx. You can also get it from the Google or Apple app stores. And there's no wallet quite like it. Not only can it hold Bitcoin and Ether, but as of, I believe, yesterday, they've now added Dash.
Yes.
Which is one of the more exciting cryptocurrencies out there. It's one of the top 10, according to CoinCap.io.
So if you have the wallet, you do need to upgrade to have that Dash functionality.
Which you should be getting the automatic upgrades for most of the app stores. I know Android does that pretty much automatically for most people.
I've turned off the auto upgrades because there's so much crap that's on the phone that it's like, we're going to update Google all of this stuff that you don't want.
So, definitely worth upgrading because they're going to keep adding new features to Jaxx. And, in fact, they've got big plans for Jaxx. They want to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. It was created by Anthony Diorio. He's one of the creators or the founders of Ethereum, and he's a Free Talk Live listener. Plus, Shapeshift is integrated right into Jaxx, which makes it amazing because you can take your Bitcoin and turn it into Ether, and I presume Dash, although I haven't tried that yet. I've yet to actually run the program since the Dash upgrade, but I know it's there. Anyway, Shapeshift makes it really easy to change from one crypto to another, and again, you don't even have to leave Jaxx. So go and grab Jaxx. It's cross-platform, so whatever operating system you're on, whether it's Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, it's even available as browser plugins for Chrome and Firefox. You can get it at jaxx.io, JAXX.io. It's the official wallet of Free Talk Live, your digital command center in the palm of your hand. It's Jaxx. As we go to your calls and thoughts, we'll compare Amish here in moments. But first, Stephen is on the line in California. Stephen, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
Hey there. What's on your mind?
Okay, so I just want to give a scenario here. I'm going to be a potential juror on a criminal case here, and the case is a DUI case. And I've heard that in this case, no one was hit. It was just the driver was driving impaired. He flipped his car over into a ditch on the side of the road. Oof. He actually was unharmed in the crash.
It's good to hear.
And no one else was harmed. When the police came to investigate, they did some field tests and saw that he might have been drinking. And they take him into the station, tested his blood. It was did a breathalyzer test. Saw his BAC content was 0.16, so they arrested him.
Now, before you go on with the story, how do you know so much about the case if you might be on the jury? Are you like...
Okay. I don't want to kind of incriminate myself. Actually, okay. I actually am on the jury.
Oh, you're on the jury. Okay. So would calling a talk radio show to talk about the case technically be a violation of the rules?
Most definitely. You're not supposed to talk about the case to anyone. And national syndicated radio program is definitely anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk in hypotheticals then?
Let's talk in hypotheticals.
Yeah, I'm hoping you didn't use your real name. Let's say your name is not real. I'm hoping it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't say where in California that you are, and you may or may not really be in California.
Hopefully, you're not actually in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a distant planet. Let's talk in hypotheticals then. Just.
Okay, so dude crashes his car. He's drunk.
Dude crashes his... Yep. He's drunk. He's got BAC 0.16 today.
And the dude actually was ballsy enough to take this to trial.
Yes.
What's his argument, in theory, if this were real?
Well, if this were real, I think his argument was, by the time they took him in to the police station, he was... definitely, he had a 0.16 blood alcohol content. Could have been impaired at that point. His argument was maybe as he was driving, he wasn't impaired yet at that point.
The alcohol was still in his belly?
What, because he was just drinking while he was driving?
I got into a crash. I realized I was stuck in my car. Figured, why not have a couple of brewskis?
Right.
Okay.
Is he defending himself?
No, he's got a lawyer.
Is it a public defender? Do you know?
I don't
Okay.
Could be. But, yeah, maybe he just drank a bunch, then it crashed, and then at a later point, it was absorbed, all of his alcohol in his system was absorbed, and then he was impaired. Could be something like, I don't know.
It's an argument, right? Like, we don't know what his blood alcohol level was at the time of the crash. I don't know if that argument is going to hold water with the jury.
Yeah.
I would say that probably this guy has gotten whatever punishment he needs to get, right? Like his car's destroyed, his insurance is going to go up.
True.
His insurance company has been informed of his propensity and proclivity for drinking and driving. That's going to drive his rates up. Also, he's had to deal with the police and the legal system. Start to finish here, that whoever, if he loses this, no victim gets any money.
True.
The only people that get money is the state, who took him through this process in many cases for no particularly good reason anyway, since there wasn't a victim.
I think you make a good argument here, Mark. Not guilty is probably the right thing to do here, but convincing the rest of the jurors of that is
going to be
impossible.
impossible.
Tricky thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is how long do you want to hang out there hanging this jury is another thing. So I mean, it's not like you're out there wasting your afternoon or potentially 2 or 3 days for some angel, right? This is a guy who
well, you don't wait a minute. It doesn't have to be a long drawn out process. If you're back there in the jury room and the vote is 11-1 and you're the one who's saying not guilty and they try to persuade you, you can just say, I'm not going to be persuaded on this. We can hang if you want to.
I don't see a victim.
Right.
There's what I would keep on sticking with is I don't see a victim. In this circumstance, it seems to me that if we're going to find this guy guilty, there should be a victim. And if you're going to claim that it's all of us, then show me how you've been victimized.
Right. I don't feel victimized. And then I think the point you've made on this, Mark, is the best way to possibly persuade these folks is, look, there is not a victim in this case. This guy's already been punished, blah, blah, blah. Make your pitch. See if you can persuade people to your side. If not, dig in your heels and say, hung jury, we don't need to keep revoting on this. And then let it go back a hung jury. They'll probably prosecute him again, but they might not.
They might not. I mean, and look, again, I wouldn't feel terrible about this guy. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over him, but at the same time, there's no victim. At this point, to the best of our knowledge on this show, no one was harmed, and it's just going to be the state taking a bunch of money from him, and it's going to be that much harder for him to make money in the future. Sure, he made some bad choices, and I don't think that, I think it's highly unwise to have done so, but, what's the point?
Hypothetically, if you happen to know, what's the punishment that this guy may or may not be facing?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they don't tell you that in court. He would have had to have looked it up on his own.
Yeah, they would say that you were not going to be deciding on.
It would probably depend on how many DUIs the dude has had as well. So
right, and I'm sure if he had previous, they would have mentioned that in the whole character thing. If this guy's had 5 DUIs before.
Hey, Stephen, let us know how this goes. If you, I don't know, not that it's real or anything like that, but if you were to want to call us with a second part of this story of this fictitious thing, you might want to do that because we're curious. Thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. Good luck. Hope they don't catch you. Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA pack technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
I just got off the phone with New York. We are the #1 network in the world. And it is an honor to stand before you at such an exciting time. We're stretching boundaries. that will irreparably alter people's perception of what they are willing to watch. And our next season will offer tantalizing programming that plays seamlessly into the desire of our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you just a taste of what ODS has to offer.
You know the rules. Grow a pumpkin or go home. Here's the twist. Only one of you has the real pumpkin seeds.
Are you a pumpkin or not?
You call yourselves pumpkin growers?
I know I didn't get the pumpkin seeds. I dug in there. They're bean sprouts.
Starting a pumpkin alliance. Anyone grows a pumpkin, we split the money.
Get out of my patch.
This is the Onion News Network.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free. Bring up anything that you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have Skype. The Skype username is LRN.FM. Roger Ver has put $250,000 worth of Bitcoin on the table for Bernie Sanders to be able to give to any charity of his choice. All Bernie's got to do is agree to a debate where he'll take on Adam Kokesh. Socialism versus voluntarism. If it happens, it'll be epic. However, unfortunately, Bernie has yet to respond to the invitation. And there's another $50,000 on the table for Adam Kokesh's charity of his choice. So all in all, $300,000 worth of Bitcoin could be going to charity if Bernie would just say yes to a 3-hour-long debate in which both men have equal time. Bernie gets to pick the city of the debate, and Bernie gets to pick the objective moderator. So, I mean, there's definitely a few things in his corner on this, but as long as both men have equal time, the Roger Ver is going to donate $250,000 worth to the Bitcoin or of Bitcoin to the charity of Bernie's choice. And if you want to learn more about this challenge, which, by the way, the $250,000 offer expires at the end of August, is my understanding. If you want to learn more about it, go to bernie.freetalklive.com. That's bernie.freetalklive.com. As we continue here, we're talking about the Amish, and we can talk more about the cannabis, medical cannabis court ruling and what happened with Weedman's Weedmobile. It's not good news out of New Jersey. Those can all still to come here on Free Talk Live. You can also join us and bring up anything you want. Skype username is LRN.FM and toll-free number 855-450-FREE. So let's do some more comparison. You got a few more highlights you want to share with us?
So let me just do this way.
We're comparing Amish.
Right. There's, according to this Wikipedia article, there's about 8 or 9 different sects of Amish. There's the Schwarzentruber, who seem to be the most conservative of the conservatives.
Yeah.
Where they do not allow tractors for field work, rototillers, power lawnmowers, propane gas, bulk milk tanks, mechanical milkers, mechanical refrigerators, pickup balers, inside flush toilets, running bath water, tractors for belt power, chainsaws, or pressurized laps. However, some of the Schwarzentrubers do allow for pneumatic tools, and the Schwarzentrubers allow for motorized washing machines.
If you have a pneumatic tool, how are you going to fill up your tanks without a sort of gas or electric powered pump?
You could hire a non-Amish person to do it for you.
Come in and do it? All right. That's to me, that defeats everything. So you get a bunch of Amish people on a gas-powered bus. Why not just have cars, folks?
Well, and that's one of the sort of interesting things is they don't think that using the technology per se is sinful, but it's the owning of the thing.
Right.
Because then, eventually the more things you own, they wind up owning you. And you can't serve both God and money. You have to, choose one master. You can't.
You're talking about some pretty wealthy people that make a lot of money in many cases. They're very successful business people. The fact that they don't have things to spend their money on doesn't mean that they're not ruled by money. As a matter of fact, it might mean just exactly the opposite. If you don't have stuff, maybe you have money that you would have bought the stuff with. So I don't know that I just obviously I'm not Mennonite or Amish for a particular reason, and I tend not to agree with their ideas.
Now,
I think they're very interesting, though.
On the other end, there's the Kelowna sect, and they allow for all of those things that I had just mentioned.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easy living.
Everything but no Kool-Aid packets. That's it. It's the only thing
I've never heard of them. Have you heard of the Kelownas before?
No, not familiar.
And I wonder how popular each of these sects are. Like how many members of the Schwarzentrubers versus the Kelownas versus the ones in the middle.
I like their original thing, the sort of Anabaptist thing, where you should be an adult when you make a decision to become baptized. But that's kind of where I part ways. And I'm familiar with some churches that have actually decided that they want to baptize people, younger and younger. So
and. You mentioned about the populations of the different sects, and because the Amish usually don't baptize until someone is old enough to make the decision for themselves, most of the local congregations do not include children in their membership rolls because they're not members of the church per se. So rough estimates show somewhere between... they've got the estimate now of about 308,000 Amish in the United States, up from 235,000. Again, that's an estimate in 2008.
Let's go to Ricky. He's in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ricky. Hello, Ricky, in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's it. The Commonwealth. Now, I got a really interesting story for you tonight. You guys are absolutely right about the Amish. Now, I knew a family. I knew the dad. I knew the son, and I knew this youngest son for 20 years. I used to do business with him, and it kind of goes like this. Now, I knew Davey since he was born, and I watched him grow up. Now, I used to do the flea market over there in Perkiomen and also in Leesport. Now, one of the things about Davey, I'll tell you, ever since he was little, he's always doing business somehow, one way or another. You know, Ian?
I don't know him, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Well, and what I used to do is we used to take their extras, their pies, cakes, and cheese. And I'll tell you something about this family. Now, they had the factory. They're a big player in this. Now, one thing about Davey liked the hundreds. He didn't like the ones. He used to toss those away. Now, one of the things he used to love to do was used to do a market up on Wall Street in the early 90s. Now, he'd go up there,
Huh?
I'll tell you what, he goes.
There was an Amish market on Wall Street in the early 90s?
No, just a regular flea market. These are just regular flea markets. They ain't real Amish.
You talking about Wall Street, like Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, or like Wall Street,
No,
Wall
like
Street?
New York, brother. Like New York, on Wall Street. They used to have a market on Wall Street, on the street.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll take your word for it, but it's turned out that you've been wrong on a lot of things, Ricky, so I'm going to say that...
I would. Well, I'm not wrong about what happened to Davey and his family.
All right, so what happened?
See, as Davey grew up, Davey got older. You know, one of the things Davey used to do is he used to spend a lot of the money. I remember there was this lemonade girl. He spent the equivalent of $300 on lemonades, and he was just giving them out to everybody. See, what ended up happening with Davey and his family, first of all, the dad ended up getting put in a position because of his business practices. And not only that, Davey ended up taking over. Now, what happened with Davey was, see, Davey's no longer Amish. He had to make his choice, and so did the dad. See, because what happened in the end is it got so heavy that they had to make the choice what they wanted, Amish or money. And they lost both of them because, see, the factory ended up having to be sold. Davey was no longer Amish or his dad. And I'll tell you something, they used to have a truck, a full van. They couldn't drive it, but they used to pay the driver to drive it. They didn't have a phone, but they could use his phone that lived next door. I used to watch him make, I'll tell you how much money he used to make just a perky. I used to watch him rack in upwards. Now, I was making about $3,000 a pop at that time. He was making 3 times that amount. And this is his
How long is a pop?
Huh?
How long is
a
pop?
Day. Oh, a day? About an 8-hour day. About an 8-hour day.
Making $3,000 in an 8-hour day. That's good
Pretty
work.
sweet. Thanks, Ricky, for the call tonight. You the man. There you go. Rolling in the dough. The Benjamins. The Amish kid just throwing away dollar bills because he don't give an F.
Dollar bill, y'all. $3,000 worth of lemonade or whatever.
Didn't Weird Al make a song about this?
Living in Amish paradise. Yeah.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Oh, coming up, we'll tell you what's going on with New Jersey Weed Man and his Weedmobile. Plus, if Darryl's got more on the story we opened the show with about a pretty big court case out in the Ninth Circuit Court deciding.
There's more.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
I'm a U.S. Air Force member stationed overseas, and we have 3 rescued mutts. Stone Phillips was to be euthanized. There were bacteria crawling all over his skin. They called it elephant skin. It was rough, wrinkly, like a Brillo pad. He was in constant misery.
DINOVITE.com.
We started feeding him the Dinovite, and his skin, it's a 180 turnaround. His skin has cleared up. He's not in pain. Stone is in excellent shape today. He runs, stays slim and trim, and follows my husband around like he worships him. I would highly encourage you to get a rescue dog and start him out on Dinovite right from the beginning, and they will make such a difference in your life. Call 859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
Or go to Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Technically, I wasn't invited to this wedding, but you can stroll into any event with a camera and people will assume you're the photographer. This bag's holding more than cameras. It's also got an RFID scanner that's picking up all your personal information. Debit cards, credit cards, even that key to your office. So while the bride's taking his last name, I'll be taking yours. Say cheese!
Do you have a stronghold on your identity? ID Stronghold pioneered RFID blocking technology over a decade ago. For about the same price as an unprotected wallet, you can get a stronghold on your credit cards, license, and other critical data with ID Stronghold wallets, card sleeves, and purses. Other RFID blocking technology simply isn't the same. Check the label. If it's not an ID Stronghold, it's probably weak.
I'm Walt Augustinowicz, founder and CEO of ID Stronghold. Protect yourself from crimes you can't see with ID Stronghold wallets in bifold, trifold, and the popular mini style.
Get the original RFID blocking wallet. IDstronghold.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and join us here on the radio. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
Also, you can join us online anytime you want over at freetalklive.com. If you like what we're doing on the air here on this show, talking about the ideas of liberty and peace on a regular basis, 7 nights a week for the most part, if you like what we're doing, then please get behind our satellite fundraiser. It's going on for about another 2 days at this point, so Friday is the last day. Please, if you haven't yet donated $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever it is you can afford, $200, $2,000, whatever it is you feel like you can throw in there, we'll put it towards satellite time in 2 locations. We've got satellite over the United States and Central America. We've got a satellite over sub-Saharan Africa. I'd love to add a third one to Europe and the Middle East. But unfortunately, we just aren't even close enough for that to happen this year with our fundraiser. But the good news is it's an Indiegogo-based fundraiser, so whatever it is that we earn in the fundraiser, we get to keep. Now, Indiegogo does take a chunk for their efforts, obviously, but after that, we'll get to keep whatever they send us. And so that's good. That means we don't have to reach the goal. So don't allow the fact that we haven't reached the goal stop you from contributing, because it's all going to go towards supporting our satellite outreach, which means that we can reach people in countries in the world where there's very little to no internet access, where people only have satellite, free-to-air satellite as their real only entertainment option. That besides state-controlled television in a lot of these places. So if you appreciate the vision that we're talking about here, you can learn more about it over at fund.lrn.fm, F-U-N-D, fund.lrn.fm. And there's perks available like Darryl's book, which is going to be given in digital form, both readable and audio, to anybody who contributes, and then all kinds of perks available at various different levels. So go and check it out, fund.lrn.fm. As we go to your calls and thoughts, Charlie is listening to K-Talks in Arizona. Hey, Charlie.
How you guys doing?
Hey.
I always get a little cracked up when I hear the weather back east. It's going to maybe hit 100. 118 here where I'm at today. So
but it's a dry heat,
right? Balmy day. But I just got back in and I barely caught the part about whether Trump drank or not. And I know it's not admissible in court, but anybody
Trump.
that tries to go to, get on with any of the alphabet soup gangs, FBI, CIA, NSA, you have to take a lie detector, right?
Yeah.
Now, like I say, it probably won't fly, but that would sure clear up a whole lot of questions, wouldn't it?
No, wait, why would Trump have to take a lie detector? He's not applying to be a
He
secret
wants to
service.
over his tax returns. Why would he take a lie detector test?
To substantiate his claim that because that's what I caught when I was pulling in, but whether he had consumed alcoholic beverages, but who cares about that? I'd be more interested in maybe what happened to some of these people that shoot themselves in the back of the head, or where the money actually goes to the Clinton Foundation. It's just an idea, but
Thanks for sharing tonight, Charlie. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We go to Ian. He's in China on Skype. Hello, Ian, and good morning over there.
Good evening to you guys over there. A quick thought about the lie detector. I was trying to imagine Hillary Clinton on a lie detector.
It would break in about 5 seconds.
You'd have a thermonuclear explosion.
Well, lie detectors aren't perfect technology, and that's the reason why they are not admissible as evidence in court. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can beat one of them.
You know what a lie detector is? A lie detector is a machine that gives somebody else a job.
It's basically a heart rate monitor. It notices fluctuations in heart rate, if your palms get sweaty, things along those lines.
Well, let me talk to you about civil asset forfeiture. This ruling made by the court has no teeth. Let me explain. About 6 years ago, I flew into Chicago. I came back to the U.S. to buy some medical supplies and equipment for a hospital out here. And I was carrying a lot of cash. I declared the cash. I had my little form to get by customs. And as I made it to the rent-a-car agency, I was approached by a Chicago police detective who wanted to know where I got all the money I was carrying. He was about 5 seconds from taking my money away. If he had arrested the money, I would be entitled, even back then, to an evidentiary hearing. But the fee for that hearing is 3 times the value or assumed value of goods confiscated.
What?
Yes. And they have a deal. If they confiscate this money, say $10,000, the DEA gets half of it and their department gets the other half. Look it up. It's a fact.
I've seen that in some circumstances, yeah. So
it's true that the department gets a cut. I think it's actually as much as 80%.
Yeah. That's why they go through the DEA instead of through the states.
But the claim that the evidentiary hearing fee is 3 times as much, I would like to see that one.
3 times the assumed value of goods, assets confiscated.
I mean, if that's true, that is even more shocking than I could possibly imagine.
Look it up. It's true. Well, I got out of it.
I don't know how I would go about looking that up.
I was flying with a helper, and we dug through our papers and gave him bank receipts for the money, where we'd converted to American currency to get a more favorable rate. Showing those receipts managed to help us not get busted. I brought the cash because you get a better deal when you buy drugs and equipment with cash.
Sure.
We got a small hospital up here in the countryside, and if you rely on the government here, their people will just die. So we came over and made one of our every 3 or 4 year purchases, and the cops followed us for 2 days. They staked out the damn hotel.
Well, you did tell them that you had a bunch of money and you were buying drugs.
They wanted the money so bad.
Well, if they wanted the money so bad, they would have taken it from you right there. I mean,
well, the only reason they didn't is we were met by a fellow from the Civil Liberties Union.
That's a good thing.
Well, I thought we had trouble. We made a phone call back to Beijing, friend of Beijing, called Chicago, and we were protected. You know, we came to buy some ventilators and a bunch of penicillin and, just some zithromycin. common antibiotics.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all over us. When we left, came back to China, 1 month later, I got a note from the IRS.
Okay.
Apparently the Chicago cops were unhappy that they couldn't rip me off, so they notified the IRS I was toting all this cash around. It took over a year to sort that mess out with the infernal Revenue Service.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, the fact that you have possession of cash does not make that cash yours. I've certainly been in possession of cash that wasn't mine.
Sure.
And
you could be a runner for a business doing the bank account.
You could be working with a NGO getting drugs to take back to people in China.
Ian, thanks for the call and the story. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We got Parker.
450-FREE.
Oh, you got to turn down whatever that speaker is there, Parker, because it'll sound bad. Sounds like you have. Go ahead, sir.
I just turned off the feedback.
Thank you.
So yesterday, I was talking with my mom about this video that I was showing her by Mark Passio. You may remember the thing that I sent you in the chat, force versus violence. Do you see that in the chat bar?
I mean, I haven't been looking closely at the chat, so I don't know what you're referring to, nor do our listeners. So what are you talking
Explain it.
Well, it was basically just the force versus violence thing, where basically violence is any violation of your rights versus force being the right to defend yourself and the ability to use
Okay,
strength.
yeah, you had called about this before, and I think we disagreed with that assessment. I mean, those were your definitions. The actual dictionary definition of violence doesn't necessarily have to do with a violation. You can use violence defensively based on their definition.
I disagree with that. Violence comes from the root word
this
violate.
was the argument that Patrick or Parker rather was making. But regardless, Mark, the definition of violence doesn't necessarily include just pure aggression.
All right. Well, but before I move on,
hold that thought, Parker. I'm not sure where you're going with this, but we'll find out coming up here in hour number 3, and we've got plenty of time for you. So it sounds like, Mark, you're on Parker's side on the definition here.
Right. It's the difference between etymology and usage.
So toll-free number 855-450-FREE. You can take control of the airwaves like Parker's doing. Bring up anything that's on your mind. Hour 3 on the way.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $2 lower at $1,345 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents lower at $19.70 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $571 US. With silver heading lower, this is a great time to buy on the dip. Get started today and give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,344 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $579. Antiwar.com reports for the third straight day, Saudi Arabia's warplanes are caught up in a high-profile incident of civilian deaths in Yemen, this time attacking a house in the Nim district near the capital of Sana'a. The attacks destroyed a house and killed 17 civilians. The large death toll for a single home was the result of a double-tap incident in which the first strike collapsed the house on top of a family, and relatives from the neighborhood scrambled to try to rescue them, only for the rescuers themselves to be targeted in subsequent strikes. This came after a Sunday incident in which Saudi warplanes attacked a school, killing 10 children, and a Monday incident in which they destroyed a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 15 more civilians. Throughout the war, the Saudis have been criticized for their huge civilian death tolls of airstrikes, but the number of incidents seem to be growing dramatically in recent weeks, with the UN General Assembly last week agreeing the Saudis could investigate themselves on war crimes. The coalition announced on Tuesday they'll be setting up an investigatory body to look into the recent strikes. Those Saudi officials have already praised the killings of the children at the school, accusing them of being terrorists in training. So far, Saudi officials have justified every single incident of civilian killings in Yemen or insisted they did not happen at all. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports a new blaze seared its way into the pockmarked Southern California landscape Tuesday, shattering parts of 2 major freeways and forcing mandatory evacuations in an area that's already been extensively blackened by wildfire so far this year. The so-called Blue Cut fire was first reported around 11 a.m. local time Tuesday and grew quickly, consuming nearly 2,000 acres in about an hour's time near the Cajon Pass and San Bernardino National Forest. By late Tuesday, officials said the fire had grown to 5,500 acres. The fire burned just off Interstate 15 along a well-traveled stretch of highway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas and billowed thick, grayish-black smoke that could be seen for miles. Witness Nika Eckstein told UPI, "When we were driving into it, we were wondering if there was an explosion because it looked like a giant mushroom cloud." Containment was at 0% early Tuesday afternoon, according to fire officials, and the blaze is being aided by mild wind gusts and triple-digit temperatures. The fire's location is about 65 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. The San Bernardino County Fire Department issued mandatory evacuations for the West Cajon Valley from Highway 2 to Interstate 15. A nearby elementary school was also evacuated. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the FBI on Tuesday turned over a number of documents to congressional investigators from its recent investigation into Hillary Clinton's controversial email use as Secretary of State. The Bureau concluded a lengthy investigation into the matter last month, at which time it stated criminal charges against the Democratic presidential candidate were not warranted. The Departments of Justice and State have been separately reviewing questions about whether Clinton used a private and unsecured email server to send or receive classified information between 2009 and 2013 when she was a top official official in the Obama administration. Tuesday's release of the documents followed requests by House Republicans, particularly House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz, to review FBI materials that were used to conclude Clinton committed no criminal wrongdoing. A committee spokesperson on Tuesday said, "Staff is currently reviewing the FBI information that is classified secret. There are no further details at this time." Included in the documents were reportedly notes two agents took last month during a 3.5-hour interview with Clinton on the matter. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Medical experts announced that an Ebola vaccine is at least 50 white people away from being developed. The CIA is now ready to install a female world leader, and a sex toy is discreetly shipped in a plain dildo-shaped box. Rising to the top of the video news summary game through an unstoppable combination of glad-handing and payoffs, this is the Onion Week in Review. Reflecting on his accomplishments and questioning his current abilities, the Lord God Almighty, our Heavenly Father and Blessed Savior, told reporters that he was no longer confident whether he would be able to create the world in only 7 days. He who commanded light to shine from the darkness admitted that the mere thought of producing the entirety of the universe from nothingness, a task he once completed with time to spare, had become surprisingly daunting, and added that creating a small, lifeless moon or asteroid now seemed like a more realistic goal. In this week's science news, psychology comes to a halt as weary researchers say the mind cannot possibly study itself.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. As always, you can join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
Coming up, the latest on the plight of New Jersey weed man, who is not only facing 11 criminal indictments recently in Trenton, New Jersey, but also the stealing of the Weedmobile and its ultimate destruction. It's a tragic, sad story that we will share with you when we get the chance. Also, we're going back to your phone calls and thoughts. We've talked a lot about Amish folk here tonight. There's a new PAC that's trying to convince Amish people to actually come out and vote for Donald Trump. So you can talk about any of those things here. But we've got Parker on the line in Washington State, and you're on via Skype. Now, Parker, you're calling in to say something about your mother, but we haven't gotten to that part of the story yet. You were talking about the word violence, and you claimed on a previous show that, Mark, I don't believe you were on. So I think Darryl and I might have been on the previous show in question.
I think Darryl agreed with me.
Yeah, you had claimed that the word violence was from the root violate, and Mark said the very same thing without having heard you say that, so it sounded like you both agreed on that. My argument was it doesn't matter what the root word is, it matters what the definition of it is today. But further, Darryl, you found some more enlightening information. So
so according to the etymology dictionary, the word violence, which means physical force used to inflict injury or damage, is from the Old French word violence, from the Latin violentia, which is from the Latin violentus, which means vehement or forceful. The word violation is from a completely different Latin word, violare, and the word violate, which means to break, specifically to break an oath, is from the Latin violatus. Again, a completely different word than violentus.
So therefore, the word violence is not from the root violate. Is from a, what was the original for that one? The etymology on violence?
Violence is from violentus, which might possibly be a form of violare, from which violation comes from. But
it doesn't seem to have the same definition, though.
Right. Okay. They're not the same definition, and they're definitely not from the same, like the most recent word that they came from, definitely not the same.
Okay. I stand corrected.
So there you go. Parker, what was the rest of your story?
Okay, so I also stand corrected. Basically, I tried showing my mom this video by Mark Passio the other day.
Now, I'm not familiar with the video, so what is the What's the thrust of the video? Is he talking about this whole violence force thing or what?
Yeah. And I sent it to you on Facebook, so you can check it out. And
I saw
if
it.
you
Ian
want
doesn't
to,
check the Facebook messages. He's got enough things to do during the day.
All right. Well, I mean, if you want to try and screen it, because there's only one word that you can't say on the radio as dictated by the Fascist Communications Commission.
So I found this video on YouTube. It's almost 12 minutes long. That's definitely way too long to
I mean,
play
if all
on
he's
the
going to
air.
do is talk about what we just talked about, then there's really no point, because we've just pointed out that, if what you were saying was that violence has the root word of violate, then, well, that's wrong.
I think that it's worth it's worth creating a distinction between what is violence and what is defensive force, right?
No, what is aggressive force versus violence?
You can use the term aggressive force. I prefer not to use the term force when I'm talking about aggression.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, what is violence versus what is defensive force? And I'd throw the term defensive in there in order to make a distinction for people.
But violence can be used defensively. That's the point that I was trying to make.
I hear your point, but why? I don't care.
So why were you sharing this with your mother?
You don't get to decide what my word choice is.
The thing is that I was trying to kind of get her to understand that when someone violates someone's rights, they are, in essence or in some way, though the dictionary definition may not agree with me on this, a person is violating someone's rights if they're using violence. Or at least if you are initiating violence upon a nonviolent person, then you may be violating that person's rights.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees, at least on this show, agrees that if you're initiating violence, you are absolutely violating someone's rights. So that's what you're trying to explain to your mother?
Yeah, and for whatever reason, I asked her, if someone believes that it is okay to violate someone's rights, are they not an advocate? Are they not an advocate, or are they not advocating violence?
Yeah, I would say that they are.
And I would say that they are. But she, for whatever reason, says no. It's okay to believe that you can violate someone's rights and not be an advocate for violence. It's like, how is that possible? It's not. You can't even.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you're violating their rights. I bet we could think, well, okay, so for instance, your rights don't necessarily all apply on private property. So, if I don't want you yelling the F word here on the radio, it's not it's not really.
Well, you really have three rights.
Yeah.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
And all other, quote unquote rights or derivations of those.
All right.
So you can pursue happiness through speaking. Certainly, that would be recognized in what we call the freedom of speech. It does not mean that anyone is obligated to provide you a platform from which to speak.
Or vocal cords. What if you're born without them?
So, so hanging up on somebody or dropping the phone call of somebody who says the F word on the air isn't using violence on the person.
Right, you're not violating their rights. They're free to say the F word wherever they happen to be.
And conversely, nor were they violating my rights by saying the F word. Even though I, have a pursuit of happiness here, I want to have a happy radio show where my program directors are happy and they're not getting threats from the FCC over saying certain things on the air. So I guess you could argue that violence isn't necessary to violate someone's rights, but I think in most cases when we're talking about the government doing it, they certainly do use violence fairly frequently.
Right. And the Liberty Radio Network and Free Talk Live is, in essence, your property. And you, as the property owner, set the rules.
I don't actually own anything. I'm just the administrator of this program, which is one of the, properties of the church, the Shire Free Church.
Okay, but
yeah.
The point is that if I violate the rules of this particular entity or the property, then I will be removed from the call. That's
right.
That seems fair. And I asked my mom a few of these questions, which are, would it be all right if I stole your assets or if I stole your money? And she said no.
Certainly not. Yeah.
And then I asked, would it matter whether the theft was by force or by fraud? She obviously said no. Then I asked, would you care what I did with the money? She said no. Then I asked, what if I gave the money away? Would that make it okay? Again, she said no. And then here's where it kind of...
what if I had a flag?
well, I then asked, suppose I gave half the money to a lot of poor people and they liked it and they wanted more. Would that make the theft okay with you? And she said yes.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Well,
Then
I would
ask
say
her why she doesn't go ahead and give half of her money to poor people because they would like it.
Well, I would say that if you're trying to convert your mother into libertarianism, she's probably a bad prospect, and you should give up.
Oftentimes, parents, it takes a very special person to be able to convert their parents, and I would say that even Ian and I would not be quite that special.
Yeah, I can't do it. Hey, thanks, Parker, for the story tonight.
Takes special parents, too.
Thank you, Parker. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. It's hard to convince the people who are closest to you to change their minds about something.
About anything.
Yeah.
Speaking of violence, though, there was an interesting post in the Quakers Facebook page about a guy who got beat up on the bus, and he was sort of upset with himself for defending himself,
because he was a Quaker and should be a pacifist.
Yeah, and I used that force versus violence argument on him before I learned out the truth. But it certainly most people in most Quakers agreed.
Saw it. 855-450-FREE.
If you or someone you love is suffering from hearing loss, please stay tuned for a special free offer from the makers of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit the ear almost invisibly, and it can be adjusted to find the perfect way to hear everything in every listening environment. Right now, we're offering absolutely free in-home trials to everyone who calls now. 1-800-721-9369. Call in the next 10 minutes, and you'll also receive free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is lightweight and practically invisible, so people won't notice when you're wearing it. So again, if you or someone you love is suffering from hearing loss, please give them or yourself this life-changing 100% free in-home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-721-9369. That's 1-800-721-9369. 1-800-721-9369.
Earthquakes, political chicanery, extreme weather, impending financial doom. If you haven't gotten prepared, you're just not paying attention. You need emergency food, and you know it. You'll get the most emergency food for your money from Ready Supply Foods. Companies with patriotic names try to sell you 5 or 6 soups, some pudding, drink powders, and rice, but have only half of the calories you need to survive. You really want to try and live on that? Ready Supply Foods sells 23 delicious entrees with none of the empty calories. Enjoy stroganoff, pasta alfredo, primavera and marinara, chicken a la king, Hawaiian sweet and sour, and vegetable rotini. Those are just a few of our amazing menu items. You can buy from the other companies and eat like a peasant, or buy from Ready Supply Foods and eat like a king. We sell you twice as much food for the money than most companies, and it's much better food. Surviving a disaster is hard enough without worrying about starving to death. See how much more food you can get for your money at ReadySupplyFoods.com today.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. Toll-free number for you, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in studio tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
Let's go back to the phones, to the fun. But first, I want to let you know about our on-demand listen line. We're actually just going through some of the messages that we've been left over the last few days. Off the air, I actually haven't listened to them yet. There's like 10 of them, so I've got quite a few. Anyway, you can call up 641-793-9660, though keep in mind, shorter is better. The fewer minutes, the more likely we'll want to play it on the air. So if you go over
the more likely we are to listen to it.
That's
in
true
its
as well. If
entirety,
it's too long,
too.
I'm not going to listen to it. If it's 2 minutes, that's not so bad. If it's longer than 2 minutes, you better be really interesting. So keep that in mind as you're leaving your message.
If it's longer than a minute and a half, I'm not even listening.
Shorter is sweeter, that's for sure. So you can call up and leave a voicemail for us at 641-793-9660, and it's an audio-on-demand listen line. So the voicemail is just an option here. The main push is to get you to listen to whatever you want without having to use the data on your smartphone. So if you've got unlimited long distance, this call costs you nothing. It's 641-793-9660. You can listen to LRN.FM live, and you can listen to nearly a dozen shows from LRN that are there completely free, available to you on demand. And when you're listening, if you decide you want to leave us some feedback, you hit 0, and then you leave a message, and that's delivered into our inbox. So the number is 641-793-9660. Punch that into your phone and save it. So anytime you want to listen to Free Talk Live, the latest episode, anytime you want, 24/7, it's there for you. And again, the number is 641-793-9660. Let's go to Dave. He's in New Hampshire, listening online. Hey, Dave.
So, a longtime New Hampshire resident has been watching what us NH Exit folks have been doing, and I guess decided he likes it. So he's going to throw a party for us on September 3rd, and that becomes the next NH Exit event.
Well, fantastic.
His name is Chris Gronsky, and he was actually at the very first Free Stater event I ever attended in New Hampshire when I first arrived back in 2004.
Yeah, I remember him. We've had him on Free Talk Live from a couple of the Free State Project events that we attended over the years. He had always been somebody who was interested in the kind of the states' rights side of things, and so I'm not surprised that he's getting behind secession now because, well, secession makes more sense now than it ever has.
Yeah. This is going to be in the Lakes region, and I've put the details up about the event at nhexit.com.
Great. Well, I think that NH Exit is an exciting thing, and hopefully we're going to see more from it over time with more activities being public. And, it sounds like you're just talking about a party, but the NH Exit has done some stuff that involves, actually standing and holding signs and doing outreach to folks. And so I certainly like seeing more of that, of connecting with the community and informing them about the ideas of New Hampshire being an independent place. And hopefully we're going to see more of that over time. Dave, was there more you wanted to share tonight?
Well, I've also started looking into, there is an idea that Chandler Gable had, and I think I've been listening to a lot of independence-related lectures and audio and stuff. And one of those was the lecture that he gave at your Keenvention a year or two ago.
Right, he was one of the panelists on the secession panel at Keenvention.
And he has an idea that he calls healing federal hurts. Like the idea is like forming a Red Cross-style charity that sweeps into disaster areas, but the disaster that they're reacting to is the federal government. So, I thought that was a pretty good idea, and I heard something else on Free Talk Live recently, that there's apparently the feds are maybe going to look to try and take some land in western New Hampshire. So kind of looking into that. There's a lady who's fighting back, and I want to know more. There has been hardly any press coverage about it, and
I haven't heard of it.
Conan Saladay knows a little bit about it. And
Actually, it's Chris, who's the other Thursday co-host. He knows a little bit about it because he's a selectman in one of the towns that might be affected, and it's actually something that would affect not just western New Hampshire, but also parts of Vermont, parts of Connecticut, parts of Massachusetts. Because
is this that pipeline thing, or is it something else?
No, it's some like salamander or some. No, it's some type of mollusk thing. But there's something in the river, and that creek goes to somewhere else.
Have to take it.
The feds are saying we can take all of this, but there's a law in New Hampshire that says the feds cannot take more than 2% of a municipality without approval of the legislature.
Interesting. Well, it sounds like this one's going to be very interesting to watch, Dave. Thanks for paying attention and keep us in the loop. That's Dave from RidleyReport.com. Dave Ridley, great liberty activist from up this way. So, Darryl, we started the show out tonight with a news story that you'd brought in about the Ninth Circuit Court.
Yes.
3-judge panel unanimously voting to basically tell the federal government, hey, you're going about this medical marijuana thing incorrectly.
Right, and specifically what they said was you're violating federal law because Section 542 of the Omnibus Spending Bill passed last year, and also a very similar worded provision the year before, says that the Department of Justice cannot use funds, quote, to prevent states from implementing their own state laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana. The Ninth Circuit Court agreed with the defendant's interpretation that the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, both legislators, by the way, from California, said that although it was not a model of clarity, it does cover criminal prosecutions of people who engage in those activities, as well as lawsuits aimed at overting or neutralizing medical marijuana laws. The ruling says, in part, the DOJ argues that Section 542 does not prevent the medical marijuana states from giving practical effect to the medical marijuana laws by prosecuting private individuals rather than taking legal action against the states. The court is not persuaded. DOJ, without taking legal action against the medical marijuana states, prevents them from implementing their laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation by prosecuting individuals for use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana that is authorized by state law. They say by officially permitting certain conduct, state law provides for non-prosecution of individuals who engage in such conduct.
So like growing marijuana, selling marijuana, doing those things normally would be illegal, but if you're doing it with state permission, if you're state licensed to be a medical marijuana facility or a grower or whatever distributor, then you are exempted from prosecution under the normal criminal statutes. That's what they're saying here.
They say, we therefore conclude that at a minimum, Section 542 prohibits the DOJ from spending funds from relevant appropriation acts for the prosecution of individuals who engage in conduct permitted by state medical marijuana laws and who fully comply with such laws.
So they can't spend any money to prosecute these people.
Right.
Is this a win?
It sounds like a win.
Partially. There's more.
There's more. All right, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Well, California definitely has it better than old New Jersey weed man out in New Jersey, and we'll give you the latest on his situation Coming up, 8:55, 450 free, and you can take control of the airwaves. This is Free Talk Live.
ProPure water filters, making water great again. Taste and feel the difference with state-of-the-art filter technology. Pro 1 G2.0 and Pro Max filters are independent lab-tested to NSF standards. Choose from Gravity, Countertop, Pitcher, Shower, and Inline filtration products. There's a ProPure for you. Buy risk-free today. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because. And avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course, you can bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio with you, it's Ian,
Mark,
and Darryl.
And Liberland, the European micronation, has recently had recognition proposed by 7 Polish legislators. What is Liberland? Well, it is going to be, hopefully, a very free place in between Croatia and Serbia. It's about a 3-square-mile plot of swamp. And there's some libertarian folks who went there and sunk their flag in, so to speak. Of course, the Croatian government's been trying to stop them from doing that by having arrested a bunch of them. They've actually had some success in court. And now this, again, recognition proposed by 7 Polish legislators, plus the Chicago Journal of International Law has released a 35-page essay making a case for statehood for Liberland. Roger Ver, the owner of Bitcoin.com, has stated his financial support for Liberland, and it has been said that the base of the Liberland economy is going to be Bitcoin. Plus, their website has had more than 100,000 people requesting citizenship. But Liberland's a small place, so to qualify for that citizenship, you've got to substantially contribute to the growth of Liberland. So to learn more about Liberland, visit their website, liberland.org, Liberland, liberland.org.
And also check out their Facebook page, because they do have some events happening in the U.S. in the next coming week or so. They've got an event in New York City this Friday and something in the Chicago area next Wednesday.
Excellent. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Actually, we'll go to Skype, where Brendan is on the line calling from New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Brendan.
Hi.
Hey there.
How's it going, Ian?
Great. Go ahead with your thoughts.
So I have a lot of people in my life that vote according to basically a one issue, and several of them are voting for like Democrats because they are pro-union.
Okay.
That's the one reason that they vote for Democrats is pro-unionism. So is there any kind of libertarian pro-union argument? Personally,
Sure.
I say there is, because as long as they're not passing laws or lobbying for laws that affect other workers, you can have a united worker front against employer discrimination. I guess.
Absolutely. So if we all four work at a place and we decide that something about that place is not right, and we want to get together and we want to address that with the boss, and the boss for whatever reason doesn't agree with us, and we say, look, this is really important to us and we're willing to do this, that, or the other, go on strike, or quit work, or whatever it is that we're going to do in order to see this one thing changed. The people who did that back in the 1800s, we have a lot to thank those people for. They did some amazing work. Basically, where unions go off the rails is where they force their labor upon people through the government and force the rules using the government and those sorts of things. So yeah.
Right. If like a majority of the workers say we want a union, then everybody else is then forced to join the union in a lot of cases or leave the job. And then nowadays, the vast majority of union members are actually government employees.
Yes. I can't remember what the number is, but it is
I think it's like 65%.
Yeah, it might even be higher than that.
Okay, well, that's all true, but those aren't really great points, or at least not the last couple, for someone who supports unions. I mean, you want to talk about ways that, and I don't know what they are offhand, but I'm sure there are laws that benefit the corporation or benefit the owner versus unions. We know there are plenty of them that benefit the union versus the owner, but the government in the libertarian vision would not be involved at all in this conflict. The government would not take sides.
Right.
So I guess I would have to know what ways. I'm not familiar enough because I've never been in a union or real close to that. But what ways does the government favor the owners of the companies and the companies over unions, in which case you could say...
That varies from state to state. So there are some states where they have what is called closed shop, meaning that if a majority of the people vote to form a union, and they can do this either through secret ballot or through a process they call card check, to where some union thug comes on and basically bullies people into signing a petition.
Mm-hmm.
If a majority of the people, in one of those two ways say, yes, we want a union, then that forces everybody else to join the union, or you are out on the street. You have to quit the job if you don't join the union.
And you're the only person in the room that's been in a union, right?
I've actually never joined a union,
But that's
thankfully.
But if you're talking to someone who supports unions, making that point, I don't know if that's going to be persuasive to them.
I'm trying to be honest about what unions are.
Right. No, I understand that, and that's true. And I'm glad you're making that point. But what our caller was asking for was points that he could make to someone who supports unions as to why they should support a libertarian.
Right. And I would have to do more research to be able to come up, because, like back in high school 20-odd years ago, I was on the debate team to where, given time, I could formulate an argument for a position that I don't believe. I can't do that on the spot.
Yeah, the difficulty I have when it comes to unions is that a worker can decide every moment of the day and every day of the year whether or not they want to go to work the next day for whatever reason. I can decide, if I'm a worker, that I don't want to go to work because my boss is a woman or black or whatever reprehensible, stupid reason I want to come up with. But an employer can't make those same decisions, and that is an obviously unfair situation. Now, people will say, well, the employers, if they have enough money and that sort of thing, that they, it creates an imbalance or whatever it is. But ultimately, you have a monopoly on your own labor. Go ahead, Brandon.
So, okay, I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, I can't find anything real quick as far as
I got it.
What it is, what laws, if any, benefit the corporation or the owner of a business over the union. If there are such things, and I don't know if there are, then the libertarians in theory would be against those laws. But I don't know, what those things are.
So my argument against being, like, people say that you shouldn't be forced to join a union, and I actually have an argument against that. This is what I get from other people, is why should you get the benefits of all these other people that are in the union if you're not in it and you still work for the same employer?
Well, I would say that if you might be able to make that argument if I got hired afterwards. But if I'm in a shop and the shop turns while I'm in it, why should I be forced to join your club and pay into your organization? It's one thing if you go in knowing it. It's another thing entirely if the shop changes around you. My father-in-law is in a union, pipe fitters out of Chicago, and he, they actually work for the union. The union's their employer, and then the people hire from the union. They're basically trade unionists. The original use of the term.
I had an aunt that used to work at a grocery store where technically there was a union, but because it was Alabama, people had the choice whether to join the union or not, and nobody had actually joined the union, so there was a union in name only. But nobody wound up paying dues to it because nobody joined the union because it did not do anything for anyone.
Brendan, good luck with this one. This was going to be a tough call, I think. Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. When I did a quick search to try to find laws that hurt unions, it's all about right to work, which is really just my understanding of right to work laws means that you have the right to not go along with a unionization
Correct.
if you are in a shop where people are voting to unionize. So I can't say I'd be against a right to work law because that just sort of upholds the rights of the individual.
In many cases, depending on how they're written.
Yeah, there's probably some poorly written ones out there. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But if you know of some laws that actually benefit unions, and anyway, we'll come back.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. Like 60% of you, I'm not impressed by the two-party system. It's a dinosaur. It's outmoded and no longer reflects today's America. Two-party politics doesn't work, and it hasn't worked for anybody but itself in decades. If we the people are wise, we will never again elect another president from within the entrenched, corrupt, co-opted two-party system. The office of president should serve the needs of everyone equally, with respect and with fairness. I did it as governor, I'll do it as president. Google me. 60% of you have said you want another choice in 2016, and now you have one in me. We the people have a chance to do something in 2016 that may not come around again in our lifetimes. We have a legitimate chance to elect one of our own to the highest office in the land. Give me your vote one time and see what a difference one election can make.
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
Technically, I wasn't invited to this wedding, but you can stroll into any event with a camera and people will assume you're the photographer. This bag's holding more than cameras. It's also got an RFID scanner that's picking up all your personal information. Debit cards, credit cards, even that key to your office. So while the bride's taking his last name, I'll be taking yours. Say cheese!
Do you have a stronghold on your identity? ID Stronghold pioneered RFID blocking technology over a decade ago. For about the same price as an unprotected wallet, you can get a stronghold on your credit cards, license, and other critical data with ID Stronghold wallets, card sleeves, and purses. Other RFID blocking technology simply isn't the same. Check the label. If it's not an ID Stronghold, it's probably weak.
I'm Walt Augustinowicz, founder and CEO of ID Stronghold. Protect yourself from crimes you can't see with ID Stronghold wallets in bifold, trifold, and the popular mini style.
Get the original RFID blocking wallet. IDstronghold.com.
Free Talk Live.
When you speak of the federal government, I can tell you a few things about it because I survived 34 years of it before I retired 2 years ago.
Ew,
and
sorry to hear about that.
my sanity.
Congratulations. Who did you work for?
I worked for the Department of Defense. It's a criminal enterprise from top to bottom. There was unethical behavior going on there. There were people doing criminal things. I mean, outright larceny, graft. I could just go on.
Yeah, and that's just your bureaucracy. It's the same way everywhere else in every other government department.
And I tell you, this is a microcosm. If it's that way where I was, you know the entire federal government's that way from the very top to the very bottom.
When we talk to former police officers, they've told us that usually
I did that too for about 7 years out there.
They've told us that in their experience, usually the worst rise up through the ranks. Would you say that's accurate from your experience?
Absolutely.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
So I did some searching, and apparently there is a libertarian case for organized labor.
Okay.
And there's a fairly lengthy article from Reason I will put on the Facebook page. But the argument came about from Herbert Spencer, who lived from 1820 to 1903. And the argument came up because in England, where he was living, there were laws that prevented people from leaving their town in search of better employment.
Serfdom.
So basically there were, like serfdom, feudalism sorts of laws. And then even after those were repealed, there were then land engrossments, government-backed banking cartels, tariffs, and other sorts of things that still hindered and hampered people to be able to either find work or start their own sorts of business. So under that situation, there is the argument for workers coming together to organize. But again, I would
there's nothing
oppose this.
anti-libertarian about coming together to organize.
Right.
The thing is that
what's anti-libertarian is when you then force three of us decided, so the other two of you have to join us.
Or when the government takes the side of one side over the other.
Yes.
And it probably takes the side of the unions more than it does the owners.
Of course.
Which is why I was saying it would be hard to find examples of times where the government did take the side of the owners. But if you could find those examples, then those would be the things you could tell the union people is, hey, we don't think the government should take any sides on this. Now, whether that would persuade them to be libertarian or not because they're used to the government taking their side, I don't know.
And a lot of times in practice, unionization is not labor versus management, it's labor versus labor. So if somebody decides, we're going on strike because you're not giving us this $2 an hour raise, the union will then prevent anyone else from going into work for a lower wage that they rejected.
That doesn't happen that much anymore. That actually the unions stop people from going in. I mean, Ian and I have crossed picket lines in the past, and yeah, remember when the whole that hotel that had the stuffed rat out front?
Okay, normally when you say cross picket line, it means you're going to work.
Yes.
When if you're a scab or whatever.
Yeah, you and I haven't worked at any place that I know of that was union. No. But right. But
what you're referring to was in New York City, there was the bed bug thing or something like that.
They were
had
claiming
a rat.
that the union that worked at the hotel was mad at the hotel.
Right. So they had their people out front with an inflatable rat.
Yeah.
And were claiming that the hotel had bed bugs.
That was the claim.
Because of some union conflict. So yeah.
Nice folks. I'd really want them back to work.
Yeah, I've seen numerous sorts of things in various places that I've lived where they actually were preventing, through this sort of human shield sort of thing, preventing people from going into the building through
even
the employee entrance.
From preventing customers from going.
No, like preventing, there's the employee entrance in a bunch of places. So, they were preventing people from going in the employee parking lot. Things along those lines to go do work for an amount of money that was less than what they were willing to work for.
Yeah, the times we've had interactions with union people have not been pleasant, especially the hotel people. Those are the only times I've really interacted with union people because I had to. There was some sort of, like we were on a remote, for instance. I remember San Diego was the first time, or San Jose, I guess it was the first time when we were at a Bitcoin convention, and these union guys wanted us to move, and we couldn't unplug the power cord or something like that. They had to do it, or else. And I don't remember all the details, but it was just ridiculous. There was all these stupid rules that was like, this is something we're in charge of. We're the union here. We've got a contract. And, you can't even do X, Y, or Z. We have to do all of these things that you could do just fine on your own.
And you have done. I mean, you set up our remote equipment and have set up our remote equipment at every remote that we've ever been at until we went to this union job in 2013. And it's like, you want to do what?
Oh, right, and they were like shutting off the power to the whole place or something like that, and we're like, hey, we're trying to broadcast here. Like, 9 o'clock, we are union rules,
Yeah.
We've got to unplug your wire now because we're the only people in this city that know how to use electricity.
Right. So, toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. David is in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, David.
Hey, evening all. I wanted to warn you about a skulker in your neck of the woods. And
a skulker?
He's one of those dangerous skulkers that'll cost you a lot of money.
Huh.
Out here, if you get online and you just dial in 100-year-old woman evicted, you're almost guaranteed to come to San Francisco. And the guy that's skulking is camping in your neck of the woods.
What is skulking?
He evicted a 100-year-old woman. And so rather than be anywhere near where the press can find him, he's hiding in the woods out there in New Hampshire. So, I consider him a lowlife, and his name's Stephen Owens. And if you just look up 100-year-old woman, you'll find out the name of the landlord. There's a woman that also owns it.
A judge has granted an order during a Wednesday court hearing. The story from FoxNews.com published within the last week. Court hearing to evict a 100-year-old woman from her San Francisco apartment. As a result, Iris Canada may be forced out of her unit as early as next week. About a dozen protesters have rallied for the woman on the brink of eviction. For me, it's always unjust to evict a 100-year-old. I mean, can you imagine? That's like evicting your grandmother, said Tomi Mecca, director of counseling programs for the Housing Rights Committee. Canada has lived in a unit in her building on Page Street for more than 40 years. The judge granted an order to have her removed. She apparently grew up there, her husband lived with her, and now she's trying to stay there in peace. Quote, for the past 2 months, my clients, the owners, have been trying everything in their power to try to avoid Iris Canada from being evicted from the house where she lives, says the plaintiff's attorney. Canada, let's see here. Chernev represents Carolyn Radish and Stephen Owens, who bought the 6-unit building in 2002. They renovated 5 units and sold them as tenancies in common. Canada was 86 at the time. She wasn't evicted, but was given a life estate, which meant she owned the unit, paying $700 per month until her death. Then the property would go back to the owners. Chernev said the only thing we're asking in consideration is that she sign the condo conversion paperwork. But Canada's attorney says if she were to sign those papers, that would give away her first right of refusal. Zaragoza added the 100-year-old's family was interested in helping her buy the unit. They've been helping her along as is, and that family has lived on the block since, I think, around the end of World War II. There's more to the story, apparently, but I don't know.
Like I say, he's a skulker, and the thing
what
is...
does that mean, though, a skulker?
Well,
normally skulking
like
about is like...
pirate.
Huh?
A sleazy pirate. In other words,
do you know this guy?
No. I'm just familiar. I was at one of the protests the other day because this is so sleazy. Now, what he's not saying, and it says it in that article, didn't it say he went to No Limit to try to evict her?
Went to No Limit to try to help her is what the original claim was.
No, in the article it says he went to all limits to try to get her out of there. And so that meant that he ran up what he declared was $164,000 in legal fees. Now, if you think about $700 a month, how many months, if I remember right, it was like 17 years, it would take at $700 a month to equal $164,000. And he's doing that to a 100-year-old woman.
The article says that, according to the plaintiff's attorney, he says, my clients have been trying everything in their power to try to avoid her being evicted. And you're saying that he's doing everything he can to get her evicted. Those are conflicting statements.
Well, now, is she not paying the $700? I mean, that's what I'm not. It's not real.
No, she's paid all that. Fine. But you look for more articles because there's one talking about that the eviction went through. And it was based on the idea that the guy was claiming that if she would pay the legal fees, then she could stay. But the legal fees were 17 years worth of rent in advance.
I'm confused. I mean, there's just not enough information for me to really process what exactly has gone on here.
I guess the age. One of the things that bothers me here is using age and gender as an issue, right? Yeah. So this woman's age and gender should be irrelevant in the case. Now, I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but shouldn't we be defending a 30-year-old dude who's in the same situation?
Thanks, David.
What do you mean? Who's?
Well, they're using this 100-year-old woman.
Right. If she were 30-year-old, why would that make a difference?
Is what makes this news, and that's what bothers me about it. Is it's pulling on heartstrings when we should be using our heads to solve the problem.
Yeah, which I don't have enough information. Thank you, David, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. I just don't have enough information at this point to, say one way or the other what should happen here. But if all these people are so concerned with the lady, why don't they just pool the money and get her a new place? Help her move out. Problem solved. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait
on the counter. Now.
Wait a minute.
Holy crap.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,344 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $579. Antiwar.com reports for the third straight day, Saudi Arabia's warplanes are caught up in a high-profile incident of civilian deaths in Yemen, this time attacking a house in the Nim district near the capital of Sana'a. The attacks destroyed a house and killed 17 civilians. The large death toll for a single home was the result of a double-tap incident in which the first strike collapsed the house on top of a family, and relatives from the neighborhood scrambled to try to rescue them, only for the rescuers themselves to be targeted in subsequent strikes. This came after a Sunday incident in which Saudi warplanes attacked a school, killing 10 children, and a Monday incident in which they destroyed a Doctors Without Borders hospital, killing 15 more civilians. Throughout the war, the Saudis have been criticized for their huge civilian death tolls of airstrikes, but the number of incidents seem to be growing dramatically in recent weeks, with the UN General Assembly last week agreeing the Saudis could investigate themselves on war crimes. The coalition announced on Tuesday they'll be setting up an investigatory body to look into the recent strikes. Those Saudi officials have already praised the killings of the children at the school, accusing them of being terrorists in training. So far, Saudi officials have justified every single incident of civilian killings in Yemen or insisted they did not happen at all. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports a new blaze seared its way into the pockmarked Southern California landscape Tuesday, shuttering parts of two major freeways and forcing mandatory evacuations in an area that's already been extensively blackened by wildfire so far this year. The so-called Blue Cut Fire was first reported around 11 a.m. local time Tuesday and grew quickly, consuming nearly 2,000 acres in about an hour's time near the Cajon Pass and San Bernardino National Forest. By late Tuesday, officials said the fire had grown to 5,500 acres. The fire burned just off Interstate 15 along a well-traveled stretch of highway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas and billowed thick, grayish-black smoke that could be seen for miles. Witness Nika Eckstein told UPI, "When we were driving into it, we were wondering if there was an explosion because it looked like a giant mushroom cloud." Containment was at 0% early Tuesday afternoon, according to fire officials, and the blaze is being aided by mild wind gusts and triple-digit temperatures. The fire's location is about 65 miles northeast of downtown Los Angeles. The San Bernardino County Fire Department issued mandatory evacuations for the West Cajon Valley from Highway 2 to Interstate 15. A nearby elementary school was also evacuated. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the FBI on Tuesday turned over a number of documents to congressional investigators from its recent investigation into Hillary Clinton's controversial email use as Secretary of State. The Bureau concluded a lengthy investigation into the matter last month, at which time it stated criminal charges against the Democratic presidential candidate were not warranted. The Departments of Justice and State have been separately reviewing questions about whether Clinton used a private and unsecured email server to send or receive classified information between 2009 and 2013 when she was a top official in the Obama administration. Tuesday's release of the documents followed requests by House Republicans, particularly House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz, to review FBI materials that were used to conclude Clinton committed no criminal wrongdoing. A committee spokesperson on Tuesday said, "Staff is currently reviewing the FBI information that is classified secret. There are no further details at this time." Included in the documents were reportedly notes two agents took last month during a 3.5-hour interview with Clinton on the matter. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After briefly reviewing several documents outlining his parents' dire financial circumstances today, 23-year-old Wesleyan University graduate Zach Wallace told reporters he had, quote, absolutely no clue how his mother and father are going to dig themselves out of the $35,000 of student loan debt they incurred to pay for his college education.
I mean, this is going to be really hard on my parents. When I was in college, I just assumed that, they would pay off my student loans within a few years of me graduating. But I never realized how expensive college is going to be for them.
Wallace, who graduated with a film studies degree in 2012 and has since had 2 unpaid internships, told reporters that from the way prevailing interest rates are trending, his parents could easily be paying off his debt for the next quarter century.
They're going to be paying for the rest of their lives. And on top of it all, they have to help me out with my rent, too. I mean, it sucks. It really, really sucks.
This is the Onion News Network.
What you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you? Tell me what you wanna do.
Yeah, Cop Block Radio is filmed live in secret locations across the country. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. What's up, guys? This is Severin Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. This is Matthew Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block here. And we have ourselves a special guest tonight.
And this is Paul Gordon of a secret location that I cannot disclose because it's secret. Actually, I'm in Bethlehem, so screw you. So screw you, drones. Fight me! Seriously.
You're killing the magic, man. I'm in a secret
Fight
cave.
Me!
I'm not even in a country. I'm
a computer program, so screw you.
Yeah, I'm coming at you from international waters.
I am a robot. You cannot see me.
Yes.
So how's everybody doing this weekend? As I said, I am Severin Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block.
I'm Matthew Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block again.
And I'm Paul Gordon of I don't know how to say. Okay, I do a lot of things. I'll say I am Paul Gordon of Full Auto, fullautoshow.com, and also Disassociation Nation, disassociationnation.com. Those are both podcasts. And I'm also doing the Lehigh Valley Volunteer. So come fight me.
Awesome.
I'm in my new line. I say fight me now after everything.
I'm excited. I got to give a shout out to Michael Fiend, Freedom Fiends.
Yeah.
He introduced Paul and I.
And now we're getting married, like 2 days.
Yeah, check this out.
It's going to be a beautiful service.
Yes, it is. It is. My wife is really excited about it.
Well,
I'm sure Severin's is too.
Well, the service is going to be awesome because it will have awesome audio. We will have these stickers for all of our guests.
Bad audio is a freaking hate crime.
Yeah, and it's right here. Can you guys make that out? Bad
Oh,
audio is
absolutely.
a hate crime. Matt, watch me. Every time you go bad audio, or every time a guest calls in and I tap this button, that means that he's getting thrown off in about 2 seconds if it doesn't get better.
Yeah. Now because of Michael Dean, actually, when I'm trying to get guests for my shows, I ask them, "Do you have a good microphone? Do you have good headphones?" "Oh, you don't." "Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Thanks." It's Jeffrey Tucker. I don't care.
See,
I don't care.
I'm too nice. I'm really too nice. I come on and I'm like, I can push through. We'll make this work, man. We want to hear what you have to say. And it's counterproductive because nobody's listening. Once somebody comes on and their audio bad, nobody's listening anymore. Everybody's just tuned out, or they already changed the station. It's gone. 60 seconds of bad audio can kill an entire show.
I give you 3 seconds to wow me with your audio, and then I'm Audi 6000.
Ooh, I like the ref.
Yeah. So, has anybody had any contact with any government officials this week?
Yes and no.
Any police contact?
I get police reports.
Do you?
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I run the Tiger Freedomist also, and we get the police reports, so that's fun.
How did you? I wanted to be a part of that with what I do with Lehigh Valley Cop Block. How did you get on a list that they would give you these reports or let you know when there's a press conference? How do you get on these lists?
I can't reveal that in public. But we'll talk.
It's a secret.
We're scheduled to meet. We'll talk.
Yeah, we definitely will. I look forward to it. I thought about going into the DA's office and just making a scene because they won't call me and let me know when they're having a press conference. But I don't know. That's kind of a bad idea. The DA would have really liked to arrest me. He doesn't like me. He hears about me from every police department.
It's always fun when the DA is when you walk into the DA's office with armed guards around you. That's going to end well.
I haven't decided. Actually, you guys are going to help me decide, and anybody who calls in tonight is going to help me decide. Am I going tomorrow to file my appeal, or am I going tomorrow to go pay $170 in pennies?
I think if you do it in pennies, you're being kind. I think if it's pennies, it's all one single denomination. I think you should really just switch it up into multiple different, pieces of change. Throw some nickels in there, throw some dimes.
That's an excellent point. Because they got to count the pennies. They might develop a system.
Exactly.
They might get fast, but if it's nickels and dimes and quarters and pennies, that messes with them.
And it's all mixed up. First they have to separate it, then they have to count each division pile. I mean, if you're going to do it, really be an ass about it. Make them actually have to put some work into it.
Yeah, if you're going to go A, go full A. That's what
I'm really... I have taken 2 hours of the court's time over a spot. You're probably familiar with this spot. You know that spot next to the Dunkin' Donuts on the south side where apparently there's a no right turn there?
It's right over by the Tally Ho.
Yeah, it's literally right across from Tally Ho.
This is totally inside baseball for us, but okay, yes.
But okay, so
there's like 3 people listening right now, like, yes.
I drink there. I drink there.
I drink there. Don't anymore, but I did.
Well, anyway, the cops sit there at night, and supposedly there's a no turn sign. Well, I never noticed that sign until I was pulled over for making a turn there. And I argue that the sign's covered by the trees, and that the heavy police presence directly across the street from where the sign is a deterrent from anyone looking at the sign as they're approaching. That was my argument. Well, the judge actually praised me for my argument, said that if every American was as voracious.
Oh my God!
Like she really took like 10 minutes to say like this was the most voracious, most intense civilian I've seen standing in front of me to go this nuts for 2 hours. I broke it down. I had graphs. I had diagrams. You should have seen me in that courtroom. 2 hours. And somehow I didn't prove that on that day the sign was obstructed. So she told me that the judge even advised me, go file the appeal because I think that the higher court might have a different decision.
That's hilarious though. You get praised for going in there and defending yourself and everything, and told you did a great job, and then she's like, yeah, but still I'm still gonna charge you $170.
Well, the cops.
Yeah, you did super great, but dude, give us your money.
You know what that praise was? It was a participation medal. Like, don't accept that.
Yeah, because the truth is, if every person did do all that I did, the courts would stop in their tracks. And
she was placating you. That's what she was doing. She was placating you, making you feel good. So you could say, well, I did my best. I guess I'll go ahead and pay the fine now. Yeah. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't pay the fine. I'm just saying because I would need more information. But
before we go to break real quick and everything, you did ask a question and ask if we had any interaction with police, and I did say I kind of.
Oh,
but
you did?
I do want to get into this because I do work at a mystery location that I will not actually say on this radio show, but it is a restaurant. Now, at this restaurant, we do have plenty of officers who decide to come in and eat in uniform. I'm really against that, by the way. But the fact that they do it is, their prerogative.
Tell them they can't bring their gun in. They really, really like that.
But you know what that means is the fact that if they're still going to continue to patron where I cook their food, I'm going to cook their food the way it's supposed to be cooked. I'm not going to do anything to it. But what I will do is if you decide to order something, let's say like a sausage, that I can carve a nice little message into, I definitely will. And tonight I decided to definitely carve into their sausages, Cop Block Radio, 10 o'clock p.m. So
you carved that into the sausage. There's all kinds of metaphors going on in my head.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Carved it, deep fried it, and it showed up real nice. Cop Block Radio, 9 p.m. So
that's just good marketing.
Did you
that's
get
what
that is?
Did you get to?
Sometimes they get taxation as theft.
Did you get to enjoy their reaction?
They've come to it. They've come to expect it. So it's one of those things like they almost seem giddy to see what my message to them is.
So they know that you're writing these messages and they keep coming back.
I mean this in the best way. What you're saying is cops come to your restaurant because they like your sausage.
Yeah.
I'm just
they definitely
float that out there. I'm gonna let it hang.
He did just say that.
They definitely like to put my sausage in their mouth.
Oh, jeez. We just lost everybody. Oh, man.
Or we gained them.
I was just going to say, or we gained them. We gained 3 people with that one. Come on.
All right,
you're going out of pocket tonight. I'm definitely tuning into Cop Block Radio.
We're going to be back with a commercial break. We have our top story of the night, the Milwaukee riots. We have several stories other than that, but we're going to be coming back and talking about Milwaukee. So tune back in. We'll be right back with another segment.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it.